And we are live. What is going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. Chat's starting to fill up.
Oh, I should probably have your chat open too. Which chat is better to go to? You said usually the
YouTube is usually more popping, but Twitch is, shout out to the Twitch people. Gotta show the Twitch people love. Waladi, Joseph, Bobo, how's it going, guys? Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We got a good show for you today, guys. Who is that buff guy in the top left corner? Well, that's Mission Control. So
Mission Control.
So, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Classic WoW PvP Workshop, episode number 5. Yes, this is our 5th show. This is our weekly little show where, we're just 4 or 5 students of the game, passionate about the game. We just get together, we talk Classic WoW PvP. We try to learn a thing or two, try to share some knowledge. I'm on the receiving end of the knowledge 99% of the time. But, that's all right. I set up the cameras. So, thanks for tuning in today, guys. I appreciate you. Happy holidays. I got my eggnog. Actually, no, it's not eggnog. It's white chocolate peppermint mocha. Coffee to keep me caffeinated.
Do you drink pumpkin spice lattes typically?
I do. I am a basic bitch at heart. Yes, I'm very transparent with the fact.
I was just verifying.
Yep,
that.
I actually do have man Uggs too, like those slipper things my girl bought me.
Oh no.
Yep.
No.
All I'm missing
like
is the yoga
14,
pants, and I would be final form. Yep.
Oh, I actually have yoga pants.
Do you?
But I used to do a lot of yoga though, so.
Okay. All right. Well, I do like the seasonal beverages.
How they cupped my balls, it was very pleasant.
Nice, dude. I'm sure. Let me know if the music's too loud to you guys too. We got some nice comfy Barons music in the back, to just set the mood for the show. So, we're starting to fill up here. Nice screen setup, Mission Control. I know, right? Look at Takanashi's screen setup, man. Holy.
I feel underprepared in comparison.
I'm just a guy with a Santa hat.
Guys, for everyone that followed me, watching me fucking camp that bitch ass cat motherfucker in Badlands, I got some news for you.
Commando with yoga pants? You going commando? Yeah. Yep. What is that?
You're a fucking weirdo.
Broken tooth? Did you get broken tooth, Taka? No?
Hey, what did I just show you?
I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the chat like a good YouTuber.
Maybe be a good friend, Kargoz.
Okay, I'm sorry. Apologies. All right, guys. So we're gonna kick it off with some introductions, like you don't know who we are already. But basically, Jeffrey is new to the show. OGJeffrey. He's also a streamer. Not sure if you have a YouTube channel, but he's one hell of a guy. How you doing, Jeffrey? How you doing today, man?
Doing good. It's this is also new to me, so I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for inviting me here today.
No problem. Not at all. Maybe you could give the people a little insight into your life and your origin story with WoW. What your favorite race class combo is. Whether you play, people know you play Alliance because you got the blue on you. I'm the only Horde player rep holding it down here. But why don't you share with the people a little bit about yourself, Jeffrey?
Yeah, sure. I've always been a Blizzard fanboy, so to speak. I didn't play Warcraft 1 and 2, but as soon as I got my hands on StarCraft 1, it was over for me. And it wasn't as much as, not that I didn't enjoy the campaign, but it was the customs that truly caught me. And from there, I graduated to Diablo 1 and 2. Played those for all too many hours, and thought I was good, but probably wasn't. and then eventually Warcraft 3. And then I did do the story back then. I played through the story, but what truly caught me in those games was the replayability and the customs. And so for years I'd play Warcraft 3 customs and switch back between all of Blizzard's previous games. And then it wasn't until I was at a friend's house and saw his brother playing WoW and was fascinated with what was happening. Despite me being confused with the walking back to the corpse and things of that nature, it was enough to catch my interest. And it wasn't technically until about TBC when I started. And I only got to even 43 during that expansion, but ever since I had started, I never turned back. WoW was always kind of my go-to game, my home, so to speak.
baby.
I was a wrath baby. It's true. It's true. It wasn't until I was about 21 that I actually started playing vanilla on private servers. So it's been about 7 years just on and off on private servers.
Nice man, nice man. And you are a gnome mage, thoroughbred gnome mage. What is your class history?
Well, I always jumped around, and I think that was a shame. I always wish I could tell a story of being one class and sticking with it from expansion to expansion loyally. But unfortunately, and I think this is part of the current meta, especially in newer versions of WoW, where alts are very friendly part of the game. And sometimes I think that's why I lose interest, is because you don't have that character that you can come home to, so to speak. I think the amount of alts I played has turned me off sometimes towards later versions of the game. But that being said, always gnome. I'm always famous for my rambles, but always gnome on these private servers and mage as of the past few years. Ever since I chose mage, I kind of gravitated towards the gnome, probably for their racial abilities. Escape artist is something that I'd struggle to play without anymore.
Okay, so it's not that you identify so much as a gnome. You do like the racial, having that in your tool belt. I've noticed that about gnomes, though. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Like, it's real hit or miss. Like, you're either like a gnome enthusiast, or you just like kill on sight every gnome, like punting them. It's really hit or miss. It's a polarizing race, I have to say.
We're a misunderstood people, the gnome.
Oh, you're a gnome too. God.
Yeah.
But I'm a purist gnome. I'm not gnome for the racials, man. I'm gnome for the experience.
For the experience. Now, what is the gnome experience, North? How would you describe
We
that?
don't want to know. It's a
getting high, walking around snowy zones, zooming in all the way to first, having your camera 50 feet below every other character. Really getting immersed in the
So you played gnome for
experience.
okay, all right, all right, fair enough.
I rolled a gnome though. I rolled a gnome when I was this is a nice segue, but I rolled my first character when I was 8 years old, and I quit EverQuest 2 as the 8-year-old me, as an 8-year-old does, after quitting EverQuest 2, starting to play WoW, and I rolled a female gnome rogue with pink hair. I was ahead of the curve. People didn't know the female gnome meme, and I was already on it. Named Northy because North was taken, and I was North and I was like, I'm a cute female gnome. I can just go with the IE, right? It's fine. But I stuck with I guess some sort of like there's a bit of push and pull between my story and Jeffrey's story, because I stuck with Rogue. Like, I never really made another alt that like I'm leveled to max and actually played seriously other than Rogue. I played Rogue for 12 years. Like, I played nothing else. Like, I was actually, and I remember trying to play Mage and Kata because I said no, nothing that I got to max and actually played seriously. I got Mage to max level in Kata, and I was just so garbage at it, and I didn't know, like, I wasn't like engrossed in Mage, so I was like, fuck this, I don't want to learn a new thing. So I kind of just like tossed it to the wayside. I'd always been sort of cursorily interested. I had a Mage Twink in Vanilla and TBC. That was level 19 though. I don't know why I made a 19 Twink. Yeah, the mistakes of the North of Christmas past are
where does North come in though? What is that, like your middle name or something? Like what?
No, it's something. So actually, I love this story. This girl who it's a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. Essentially, the family across the street, who was like my dad was best friends with, like the head of the family, their father, their stepfather actually, played a lot of WoW, and they played games together like in boarding school, which was their like middle and high school, and they like would play D&D late at night. Anyway, they played video games together, and so we played with their family, and so our families both played WoW and EverQuest together. And so when we rolled together on an EverQuest 2 server, this girl who was the like the kid of the guy across the street, who I had a crush on at 8 years old, God knows why, named her character South. And so I was like, well, North's the opposite of South. Like, why don't I feel like North is the more masculine of the cardinal directions. I'll just go ahead and pick that.
Some notebook shit right here. All right.
And she'll love me, obviously. Yeah, but long story short, I actually ended up being adopted into their family, so there was never anything that came of that, because she's now my sister.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Story
But,
took a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, story took a turn to the incest land. No, but yeah, that's why I'm North.
That's a good story. It's a good origin name there.
It
Good
is.
origin story.
Damn, yeah, mine wasn't so epic. What about you, Taka? What I mean, sorry, I don't know if this is boring to you guys, but I'm actually genuinely interested, like how everyone came up with their names. What about you? How'd you come up with Takanashi?
Well, I I mean I was playing, right, and I always had this I put an S
I hate
at the
this.
end
I
of
hate
end of
this
shit,
stuff.
right?
It's because
and
if I were clean shaven, you wouldn't see that as much because there's just like this line.
Hey, no,
what?
Yeah,
You're unmuted it.
you're unmuted, bro.
Oh, I'm mute.
Yeah, it's all
Oh, sorry, I was talking to a stream up.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of like Japanese names because they Japanese name they you know that they're gonna fucking kick your ass. When you see those K's and I's and N's and whatever all over,
Mhm.
you know you're gonna get your ass whooped. So first I came up
That, or
with
you know,
this.
they watch a lot of anime.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, so I just T is has a nice ring to it, starting with a T, and I just sat there and at the fucking character creation screen, I'm like te tish tag, and then I don't know, Takanashi just fucking rolled off my tongue, and yeah, well, first I made a character named Takashinaki, but it was like too long, and then it became Takanashi.
You shortened it. It's a cool name, man. I think, like what you said, T is a cool like letter to start with too. Some letters look better like to start with them, right? Like the capital
Yeah.
uppercase version of the letter looks really good. I don't know. I like it. I like Takanashi.
Yeah.
How about you,
Thank
Jeffrey?
you.
Is that your name? Are you just an OG? You're an original gangster, and your name is Jeffrey?
Yeah, Jeffrey is my name. So I used to have a different username for the longest time, but it was my last name included in it, and as I got older, I got less comfortable with that, so I changed that up quick enough.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, mine was just randomly generated. For those of you wondering, I have no epic story, and I just rolled with it since vanilla. So pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't get how people did that. I don't get how people just like didn't decide their name. Like they were like, random generator seems good. Like,
Well, a slightly more interesting story though is my very first character ever in WoW was a Tauren warrior named Sharper Edge, because that was my randomly generated Xbox Live name that they generated you back in the day, where they just put like a random adjective and then a random like noun or some shit. So it was Sharper Edge, and then I was like, you know what, it's not that good, so I had to re-roll it.
Well, I played with a guy on Emerald Dream, Phoenix server,
Yeah.
like many years ago, and he had like I don't know 3 characters, and all of them were called some weird ass shit, and I felt like I gotta ask. So I mean, what's the reason behind your names? It's like making no sense. And he said, well, the reason I create characters with fucked up names is so that I have no emotional attachments to the character. So yeah, I created
Hardcore.
a name that I don't give a shit about, so I don't care about the character.
Why would you not want to care about the character though? He just
Well, some people maybe don't like.
I could
if
see
you're
that on
not-
private servers, to be honest. Like if you're
Yeah.
like a private server player, if you don't want to get too attached to your character.
Hmm.
But I don't get why people like I think that's like the biggest complaint that I hear, and not to like veer off topic too much, but like the thing that people are in my streams, they're like, oh, like how are you playing vanilla? And I'm like, it's a private. If I'm like not doing my fucking sarcastic ass spiel about how it's a simulated
VOD review.
yeah. I'll be like, yeah, it's a private server, and people are like, well, but it's gonna get shut down. I was like, life is fleeting, young children. Everything will come and go.
You just get heavy with them.
This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Yeah.
it while it lasts.
I mean, once you play enough WoW, I don't know if it's the same with you. Once you just play enough WoW over the years, like your attachment level with the characters does go down a little bit. It becomes more of like just you can recreate the experience over and over again, and it becomes less of a, I don't know. That's just something I've experienced. But anyway, let us talk about player versus player content. Let's see here. So, whoops, not that. We got to move this over here. Not screw up the stream. So we're gonna go into our first talking points here. So, Classic is coming. I'm very excited. I'm sure the rest of these gentlemen are very excited. What are your goals for Classic real quick, Jeffrey and North and Taka? Maybe if we can succinctly summarize what our goals, how hardcore we're going to go, what we're going to roll. Jeffrey, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. I intend to, for Classic, push a character harder than I have on a lot of these private servers. For whatever reason, I find myself leveling quickly, doing the pre-raid biz grind, doing the first raid, maybe coming back for ZG, and then I ended up, stopping or fizzling out, playing another game, another private server. I want to push my character farther than that. I want to raid as much as I possibly can. Maybe not up to, maybe not next, but at least AQ minimally. And I'll be doing more ranking than I have in the past as well. Because that hadn't been a meta that I had participated in as much as I'd like to come Classic Fresh when you know you're going to keep the characters and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you're going no mage again?
Oh, yeah. Got to stick with the gnome mage. At this point...
you're going horde. You're going horde.
It's changed. It's changed, North. Like I feel like it changes every other day. It did for
All
a
right.
while there, but it's got to happen. I have enough of my friends that are going to be going Alliance, and earlier I had mentioned I went gnome for the racials, but I stayed for the gnome. I absolutely love the gnome because I've said, it's funny you mention it because I've said it quite a few times to people. You either love gnomes or hate gnomes, and I actually do really love gnomes. So we're going Alliance, we're going gnome, and we convinced enough of our friends to go Alliance with us, so we can still play with a lot of folks. And my friends going horde made a good point. We can have a lot of healthy rivalries, so it should be a good time.
Definitely, man. All right. I already know North's answer. Alliance, no mage, master.
I might not be Alliance.
What? No.
I go with
switch
Grizzly
it.
goes. I go with Grizzly goes.
Wow.
I'm a slave to the Grizz machine. I will have no mage alt. I will have a no mage alt that will be 60. No matter what. Like I will have a no mage even if Grizzly doesn't go.
Yeah.
Horde, but it will not be my first character. Most likely to 13.
Wow.
It'll be my second.
So if you're going horde, what are you rolling? What race? Undead? Undead, right? Okay. Gotcha.
But I think Grizzly's gonna go along. I mean, AK doesn't want to say. AK's the GM of Grizzly. He doesn't want to say, but I'm like pretty sure. Like the poll was like 90% of people wanted to go Alliance as well. It might have not been that stacked, but it was at least like 70 or 80.
Gotcha. What? And you're gonna go 14? You're gonna try and chase the dream?
I'm gonna go 14 on one mage. I want to do it on the gnome. I really don't like 14 on undead. I don't like the staff as much. And I don't think it looks as silly as how it looks on Alliance. And you can also buy the swords. Like I plan on buying one of the swords. Like even if like mage play isn't available, I plan on buying like the big ass sword on Alliance side. 'Cause it just looks hilarious on a gnome. So there's that. Well.
Nice, man. Okay, so rank 14, going chasing all the way. It seems like Jeffrey, you're not opposed to it. It's just you're gonna go push harder. And is that the same with you, Taco? How hard are we planning to go come Classic? Taco and I are gonna be guildies.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the PvE goes, right? We're planning on the thing where, I mean, we'll have the two different options of, like we discussed, one hardcore raid and one that's more kind of like casual. And I mean, then with the PvP part, there's only one way, right? Surround yourself with dedicated players who share your goals and ambitions. If you want to make rank 14, you need to have as many people as possible around you that'll stay for as long as possible, so you don't have to kind of switch out, right? But I mean, of course, we'll help other people gonna try to rank. So I'm looking forward to kind of try to become even better than I am. Think of more strategies. Think of more ways to enjoy the game, and I don't know.
So are we gonna see a high warlord Takanashi?
We're gonna see a high warlord Takanashi.
That's the spirit.
Probably like 20 pounds fatter as well, but
it's all right. It's the price we pay.
Rank 14.
Yeah, you got to go on that intermittent fasting when you rank. It's OP.
You gotta go.
It's actually good as fuck. Like I was like, you get tired if you're eating all the time. Like if you eat like once a day and you're like grinding like for 14 hours and then you like go eat like a big meal and then go to bed. It's actually super efficient. IMO, but I think I want to make a video on intermittent fasting and ranking, but we'll as soon as I get my fucking editing rig, like soon TM.
All right, well, that's good. So I'm going to go as hard as I can possibly go. You know, I've never been rank 13 or 14 or anything like that, but I do definitely want to do run pre-mades and start off running with maybe 4 people and running with Taka, and I do definitely want to do that caster cleave that Serrano was talking about last time. That sounds so super fun. I will actually...
What was he?
I was asking on the last PvP panel, I was asking him what the strongest pre-made he ever went up against was. I was asking, like, was there any cool comps or whatever, and he was saying, I think it was back on Nos, right, Taka, correct me if I'm wrong here, but he was saying that the hardest pre-made composition they went up against was like a caster cleave, where they had multiple warlocks, and they, you know, multiple affliction warlocks, and they were just like brick wall, dude. Like, you couldn't break them, and they were so good, and the players were so talented. And I think they probably had elemental shamans in there or something. Was that what he was saying too, right, Taka? There's an Ellie in there.
But they were like based on like priests, you know, healing priests, shadow priests, mages, warlocks. I think they had one warrior, but they had like no rogues, they had no hunters. I can't remember. At one point they brought in a druid, but they didn't have it from the start. And especially when you have kind of high latency, right? These guys become even more, you know, effective, right?
Yeah. Interesting. That the play style of that just seems so cool to me. I'd love to try it out, basically. So that's sort of the plan here. All right, so the first actual real segment we're going to get into. Takanashi has 1,452 screens. Yeah, just about that, Wilsham. Just about that. Yeah, so the first little nugget we're going to get into is PvP tips while leveling. So I have been leveling a paladin, and I'm feeling, you know, the leveling experience is fresh in my mind. I know probably most of us are trying to get ahead of the curve on fresh, but you know, 99% of people aren't going to be getting ahead of the curve on fresh, or I don't know what the percentage might be. And what are some tips we could share while leveling? Immediately, stuff that comes to mind, if you're not leveling on fresh, is buying stuff like swiftness pots, you know, getting some of the, just rocking potions, like keeping potions on you, you know, healing potions, mana potions, whatever it might be. Things like that. Basically, movement is everything. Getting nifty stopwatch. I don't know if you guys can chime in here. If you have any tips while leveling.
On a mage-specific note, it's really good to actually like prioritize and like maybe linger a bit longer on human farm spots rather than non-human farm spots for AoE farming. Just because you get a lot of health potions, you get a lot of cloth, bandage. Not that you're really going to be hurting that much for cloth, but you can be. So if you linger in these humanoid places for longer, you know, like the Moss-Hide Knolls, the Nightbane Worgen, if you're like Alliance side specifically, you're going to have a lot more, or like even like lingering at the Greymane Wall and then Hillscrad Farmers for a longer amount of time. You're going to have a lot more health potions, which is going to be helpful. This is considering though, like you'll like that's the thing that people always like sort of like, I don't know, they kind of throw this at me when they talk about getting ahead of the curve in AoE farming, and they're like, well, like, you know, if you're not the first person, like you're donezo, man, which is just really not true. And I guess this is a little tangential, so I'll keep it short. But if someone has a spot to themselves, like if someone's the first person, they're gonna be done with that AoE spot in like 3 hours, like 3 or 4 hours, like because you know they have it to themselves. So if that's true, right? Like maybe you're competing with one other guy for, you know, like, so you're sitting there for 6 hours for your level range, but 6 hours for like 3 or 4 levels is insane at any level range, really, that you're AoE farming. So I think people should keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, so classes that don't have mobility, like for example, I level on a paladin right now, right? Classes I imagine like warlock, classes like warriors. I feel like the most important items you can have, you know, that's going to help you both offensively and in a defensive capacity is going to be stuff that's going to affect your movement speed. Being able to run away and to disengage or to chase after people and kill them. Is that an incorrect statement? You know, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
No, I mean, it's if no one else wants to answer, it is very, very true. Right, that difference is very key. But the thing is you get those items really late. So like nifty stopwatches in your
swiftness pots though, the speed pots, bro. I see the people even like low Stranglethorn. They're always running away with speed pots.
Yeah, but like how many of those going to be like on like fresh. You're gonna have to put
Not
up a decent
fresh.
amount of-
I'm saying not
Well.
fresh, dude. I'm saying like.
Oh,
you're
okay,
living-
okay.
Yeah. We're just
No,
talking about
yes,
because the
spots
vast
are-
majority of people. Yeah.
They will keep you. They will keep you alive versus everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as a warlock, as a priest. Obviously, like hunter, mage, druid, you don't really need as much. But even like mage is helpful, because there are so many hunters. But even then, it might not matter, like depending on what zone you're in. Because if you're trying to run from someone in like Shimmering Flats, and you've got a swiftness spot, you're good for the duration of the swiftness spot. But if that hunter wants to keep chasing you, you're dead.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in a lot of places you can Stranglethorn Vale, especially. There's a lot of hills and valleys and rivers and shit.
Found I was using a swiftness potions offensively versus hunters versus the defensive inevitable too.
The
Well,
offensive
I'm always-
potion is really strong as well against hunter, especially early on when you don't have a lot of mobility, as most classes, like a warrior, for instance.
And they're kind of cheap to buy, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like just on a non-fresh server, swiftness spots are pretty
they're cheap.
Yeah,
They're
so
cheap.
it'd be super worth it. I guess that's the point I'm getting at, guys. If you're leveling and it's not fresh and you're not really just at the very cutting edge, maybe you missed launch or whatever, definitely buy swiftness pots. I think I would even potentially say they're going to be more impactful than getting health potions and stuff, because the health is almost inconsequential if like the math isn't on your side and you're not able to get out of range and disengage. So, especially on classes like Paladin, Warrior, oh man, super good, super good.
The
How about-
biggest tip, though, probably is to, especially on launch, especially if you're planning on leveling on a PvP server, the amount of like oomph you get from having a partner, right? From having a duo partner, even if it slows down and you have to like grind longer in certain places and you can't just quest in areas and then leave. You're gonna have a much easier time, completing those quests. And any quest that you have to is like, oh my god, there's so many drops. Either A, you can skip it and go grind, or B, right, you're grinding while you're farming that quest out anyway. So if you're getting consistent kills, it doesn't matter how long you're taking, because you're gonna have to grind for some parts of levels anyway. So you might as well sit there with your partner in a safe area and be safe, right? Especially if you're not in the very, very head of the pack. When I was with I actually fell behind initially on Northdale launch, and the fact that I had a priest with me as my duo actually catapulted me through the 26 to 36 area very nicely, because those are the that's when you get into Hillsbrad and Chiera, for instance, was spawn camping me, trying to spawn camp me at one point. And the only reason why I could live against a mage that was 4 or 5 levels higher than me was because I had a priest with me. So
Yeah.
it is very, very helpful. That no matter how much time he siphoned earlier on, right, he catapulted me ahead of the curve. So yeah, from 40 to 60, he was doing absolutely nothing for the AoE pulls, and he was just kind of there leeching XP. But A, I love him. Failsome is amazing. B, it kept me entertained, and C, it kept me safe.
Now, are there any consumes or items you could think of, guys, that might be good while leveling? I mean, there's certain principles that you could follow, always assume that you're about to get opened up on. That's what I'm doing when I'm AoE level grinding on my paladin. I try, if I'm in a heavily contested area, I'll try and keep myself kind of high in HP. I won't take the most aggressive pulls possible, because I think there's a high chance of someone opening up on me. I'll save the lay on hands. I'll be with trigger finger ready on the bubble, ready to turn it around. And one thing, especially on a paladin, is you got to know if you have a win condition versus that class. If you don't have one, just try and run away, dude. Just try and run away. Do your best to run away. Stuff like that. But I don't know if you guys can think of any items or consumables that are going to keep you safe. I mean, Taka's a warrior, so warriors are very vulnerable out in the open world early on. I don't know if you have any, tips and tricks.
I mean, as a warrior, yeah, I like to kind of skill engineering, just to have certain things available for me, and having FAPs just in case, or just having those defensive cooldowns that make me, because warriors kind of don't have anything, they don't have any oh shit spells, which is the reason for. I mean, I'll lose some money for whatever skilling engineering, but it's gonna be worth it for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I save a couple of hours fucking corpse running, that's gonna be a big deal for me.
And corpse running, really, I don't know if you guys monitor your XP per hour on PFUI or something, but it really just destroys your XP per hour, man. It really is it sucks when you start dying. As a warrior though, Taka, who would you want to duo up with? Who do you think is going to make you the strongest out in world PvP? Do you have a personal preference, like a healer or?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what mobs you're grinding, but I'd say maybe a rogue can be fucking strong, because they're able to stun lock almost everything, right? So you'll take no damage, he'll take no damage, and as soon as warrior gets circle stance and you get pummel, I mean, then you two are pretty, unbeatable, because then you can start grinding cloth. Both of you can kick, interrupt spells. There, I mean, a cloth NPC or mob doing like melee swings is, not the worst thing.
I would assume you need a
So,
healer though to sustain you just while grinding and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the start, right? But I'd say that two melees would be, because I don't like the whole. What am I gonna do? If I like to have sweeping strikes and go for arms, then yeah, it can be good. But I don't like the arms playstyle. I like Fury more.
You don't level as arms.
Well, to a certain point, right? And then I switch because I feel like
I level my warrior. People have just sort of told me they're like go arms, but I've heard that there is like a Fury option.
I mean, definitely, but it all comes down to if it's so boring that you'll stop playing the game, then I just pick the style of gameplay that makes it fun for me. So
Mm-hmm.
because it's faster, like you're boom 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 boom, and then next. But arms is like smack, hamstring, fucking kite, run back. I mean, come on.
You don't like jousting?
I don't like.
That's a good
I'm
way to put it.
I'm not that kind of a person. If I go into a
I
fight,
like jousting. I
Me
think
too. I like jousting too.
Yeah, I
Personally,
mean,
but yeah.
I mean, it's what I'm saying.
I think though rogue. I'm not sure like why. Like I think there's a lot of anti synergy between rogue and warrior. I'd honestly think that like, maybe another warrior would probably be better. With the maybe not another warrior, but like I don't know. I just can't picture anything else that would be.
I just feel like as a warrior, you
much
need
as the
people
rogue
to peel
has-
for you, right? I mean, as a warrior, you need people to dispel you, give you freedom,
But-
stuff like.
Yeah,
Kinda
like
like
but even
Paladin,
apart from that,
personally.
even apart from
But
that,
are you
like,
talking about-
as strong as
Are you talking
Paladin
about-
and priest would be?
you
I think
talking
rogue
about-
like you have like the on-demand stun share a DR, right? So like you have you already like your anti-synergy in terms of that. The rogue gains a lot of strength through choosing fights. The warrior is the opposite. The warrior can choose very very precious few fights. So I think that there's an anti-synergy there. A lot of people always a lot of people always push the shaman is so strong with warrior. I don't think that's true, because as much as it's very strong against hunter, it's really weak against mage. Like two mages against, which you'll find frequently in the world, two mages against a warrior and a shaman will crush a warrior and a shaman because none of them have a way to get on a sheet. So
Mm-hmm.
But are you talking about?
We're talking about.
Are
World
you
PvP.
talking about PvP or are you talking about leveling?
We're talking about
Because-
leveling PvP, like as you're leveling
Leveling
out in the
PvP,
open
yeah.
world, like how to stay safe. You're in Stranglethornville, you're mid-30s, and you have a duo partner to, you're grinding, you're a mixture
So
of
I think you
grinding
want
and-
something to counter both the mage and the hunter.
But,
I think that those are your most
I
important
mean,
things.
I've been playing. People say that hunter and warriors are shit for whatever reason, and in PvP. And me and my friend went into Arathi Basin with no healer. I had my warrior, and he was on his hunter, and we pretty much killed everything. And if they were 4 or 5, it didn't matter. So I mean, it comes down to player skill, and you have to take advantage of your strength.
Well, I mean, a battleground is very, very different from like the open world. Like the problem with like, and I think hunter warrior is actually like a much better than rogue warrior, because I think you have some ability to peel for the warrior. You have that range that the rogue is lacking, right? That the warrior is also lacking. So you have some range, you have some control, you have the CC that's more on demand. That other people are lacking, and I think hunter is really good against mage, right? So you are countering the mage. Hunter is also good against hunter warrior is good against other hunters. So I think you have to like account for how do we actually kill X thing, right? X thing being the hunters, the mages, the people who are going to be the most like populous classes.
What about with a mage? What's the best duo you think out in the open world? I mean, ideally you want to be AoE grinding by yourself, but it's the type of thing where mage's win condition when you're grinding is like you're not taking damage anyway, you're not soaking damage, you have your little kit to AoE kite, so it seemed like the best duo would be another mage, but I mean...
Yeah. Give me a second mage. That's what I say.
Yeah, no, second mage is kind of bis, to be honest. Especially early on. That's the thing that people don't consider. Like, and I like my mindset, and like this is like a limitation, I think, of my headspace. My mindset's always like week 1, week 2 of fresh. No one has a PvP trophy to get out of sheep. No one. And you are God incarnate. You are Jesus walked upon the earth. Your sheeps never go away. And you are a god.
Well, they can be dispelled, right? But yeah, if you're going up against another,
They can be dispelled. Yeah, like they can't self-dispel. Like a paladin can't. Paladin can bubble them.
They have
That's the only.
Well, they don't have. Well, I guess you wouldn't have sacrifice till later, right?
I'm not sure what blessing of sacrifice is, but yeah, other than paladins are fucking. Paladins are always annoying because they can bubble out of it and shit. You can,
sacrifice, they put it on yourself, and when your
trinket.
partner who you sacrifice takes damage, you take damage. So it would get you out of sheep. Yeah.
So I was also saying druid plus mage. I think druid and mage are really strong.
All right. Well, Andy, if you guys can think of any other PvP tips while leveling, definitely it's not like a dead topic.
But we can just if you have a mage, the double mage on whatever, me and Serana can just go on a warrior and rogue, and we'll see how it turns out.
I would me, Jeffrey and I on mage against warrior rogue. We wouldn't take damage. We wouldn't take damage.
We have to see it. We'll have to see it. Taka and I are rolling horde, so we'll see it when it comes classic, man.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
A couple of leveling tips that come to mind. Yeah, you kind of touched on it, but I see far too many players with low HP just standing there, AFK or otherwise, and it's just they full HP on a PvP server between pulls. The other thing is, don't take the paths when you're trying to avoid players. Don't take the roads to towns. Take side paths. Grind while you're doing it. I definitely recommend not taking paths when you're trying to avoid PvP or main roads. Also, have an emote ready. A friendly hello, a wave. Something of that nature. Something cute. Blow them a kiss. Tickle their balls a little bit. If you don't want to get in PvP, emote with them a little bit, and sometimes people won't attack you.
There you go. OGJeffrey tickles your balls and gets you out of trouble there.
OGJeffrey,
All
the
right.
diplomat. The diplomat.
Nice.
But yeah, like always, like you said it, but like I think it's worth emphasizing again after Jeffrey sort of said it. Be prepared to be ganked by that fucking rogue.
Yeah.
Right. When you least expect, like when you're sitting at 10% HP, you should be constantly that voice inside your head should just be like, this rogue, and maybe I'm just like panicky, right? Like maybe that's just me, and I'm just kind of like a nervous wreck. But you really should, because the time that you're not saying that in your head and not preparing for it is the time that rogue is going to murder you, right? So like for mage specifically, it would be like, if you have some mana and you don't have any health, run that mana shield while you're drinking, so that ambush doesn't one shot you.
Okay.
Right? And that might make the difference between whether or not you get that blink off and can CC him.
Now, before we move on, is there any other, as far as consumables or easily obtainable items that could move the needle when it comes to leveling and give you some, that could help you out in PvP? Is there anything you would buy off the auction house you would consider spending your precious gold on, or does nothing come to mind? To me, number one is Swiftness Potion. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know if there's anything else. Maybe free action potion might be better if that's more expensive, or maybe certain
the
types
thing
of
is
food.
they're all expensive. Like the better things, like Invis pots are really strong, but who has the time to get those early on? So like, what is it? It's like Sungrass and like Steel Bloom. No, it's like Steel Bloom and Fade Leaf, and like everyone wants Fade Leaf early on for blind, so it's super expensive.
Fade Leaf, yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, and then like the higher version is like fucking Ghost Mushroom, which everyone wants for lips early on, so that's gonna be super expensive. And not to mention getting the patterns. I think the lesser one is trained, but getting high enough now can be early on is annoying.
Okay.
Apparently, you can grind the Westfall Coast for Murlocs for nets. You can use those as early nets. It's a good place to grind early on in Westfall.
Also, the dust, right? Isn't that the moth sleeping dust or whatever?
Yeah, from those air elementals or whatever.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a cast time. That's actually like that's real. That's like private servers having a cast time is not authentic. But that has it's a no cast time sleep. It's fucking ridiculous.
Interesting. Wow. And also sticky goo, like you said, it's kind of cheesy. But if you are a horde or something and you are going through Duratar and you get that quest to get the sticky goo, hold on to it, man. Hold on to it for those emergency situations. Bail you out of trouble, stuff like that. So. Always be thinking, like, have that voice in your head that there's a rogue about to gank you all the time. But anyway, let's move on. Oh,
And
sorry, go ahead.
just a tip, like if those things you're not needing it, I mean everything that's 10 silver on the auction house at the early server is gonna be like a couple of golds, and in a month. So just hold on to it; it'll be worth money.
That's for sure. Yeah, you gotta be. Patience is key. You get rewarded for patience in vanilla.
Also, something for early PvP tips as well is, like, don't be, and like Takanashi said this, but like, again, it's worth re-emphasizing. Don't be afraid to go engineering early on. Right, like you can drop, like if say you're a mage and you really want to go tailoring afterwards, you can go engineering up to like 150 and it becomes useful. Like do it with mining and then level it later. Like if you have enough cloth then to do tailoring, you want to go sell those cloth bags for money because you got to winter spring and you got the recipe. That's fine. Drop the mining, right? Drop the mining, leave your engineering at 150, go buy the ore later. It's gonna be super cheap. Go do your tailoring when you need to do your tailoring. But if you level that to 150, there are a lot of quests. I think, for instance, like Bronze Tube, and then you get the Gyra Namaton for the Nifty Stopwatch quest. Like there are quests that need engineering items. So if you're actually on top of that, if you're ahead of that, and you start posting that shit on the auction house or spam in general or world chat, if Classic ends up having a world chat that's popular, you'll make a lot of money, right? Like it's not like a not money profession. Obviously, skinning is going to be like the bis if you're super hardcore pushing, but in that more casual space where you're going to be, like in the lower level zones, actually having time to get these nodes, hopefully, then it should be a good source of money.
Okay.
That's what Monkey News did on Northdale, actually.
Pro tips. All right, so we're going to move on to a segment called Critical PvP Items and Consumables. Now, I know you guys are elite PvPers, and you guys almost take this stuff for granted because it's like kind of assumed in the meta of PvP that people have access to these things, that you're using this trinket when. But I think a lot of people don't really understand these items, where you get them, how they work, what the use case is for them. So maybe we could just chime in. I'll start off with Skull. So Skull of Impending Doom. Does anybody want to explain why this is good, and why, how to actually implement it, how to execute and use this thing,
So that's gonna make you run faster, take damage yourself, and it's held in your offhand. And what that's going to be used for is to try to break sheeps or fears or things of that nature. So you're going to time equipping that and using that with and there is you're going to almost have to have that on preemptively because someone could correct me on this because I haven't used it often, but there's the cooldown when you equip it typically. But you're going to use that to try to break fears or, more importantly, sheeps and things of that nature. Okay,
so if you're in your default state, let's say you're just riding around the open world, right? You're just riding around the open world. Is this what you have equipped?
Yes.
It is, right? And
yes.
Even classes that aren't, so what would your opinion on even, classes that aren't benefiting from the intellect or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Even
I'm speaking as a mage, right?
Yeah.
So like that offense actually decent, like even while leveling. But as other classes, right, it might not be as pertinent for instance, a rogue who has other ways of getting out of the sheep. Right, like he can kind of like he can disengage, he can piece, right? Like a druid, it's useful for a druid, but druid doesn't really have as many like things that are going to be affecting it in terms of skull. So I think mages will always have it on. I think warlocks will frequently have it on just because it's good for them on a base level while leveling. Right, and BGs is another question, like also priests as well, because it's really, really useful for movement in general. As much as it is really, really good for breaking sheeps while leveling, it's super good for the distance if you actually bother to do the quest while leveling, which can be difficult, but it's usually easier to do it while leveling than do it after, because everyone's like, if you're ahead of the curve and then everyone reaches that quest and they try and do it, if they're not like pushing hard because they're like, I'm going casual, I'm gonna do all the quests, I'm gonna do the elite quests, and then they try and do the elite quests, and you're trying to.
This seems insane, dude. For classes that don't have a lot of mobility, like a warlock, this looks like sprint. It looks like you have a sprint.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It looks insane. Like, shouldn't you just have to get this? Isn't this just like absolutely mandatory to get? You get this at 36 or something. What is this? Level 40 quest reward from Badlands? Like,
yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah. It's kind of a hard quest though. That's the thing. You have to go to Dustwallow Marsh, and you have to go to the Mirefin Oracles off the coast of where the Murlocs are in the northeastern sort of corner of the zone that borders Barren. You have to kill them until you get enchanted sea kelp, and then you summon a boss named Dagoon. You get the hand of Dagoon. It's called the Star of the Hand of the Heart. So you get the hand from him. You get the star in Alterac Mountain, and then you get the heart all the way in the south of Stranglethorn.
Wow.
So it's like it's at the 3. It's like at 3 pretty.
Because it's so important, though, I assume there'd be a lot of people willing to do it with you, though. So I don't know, unless you're really trying to push speed, it seems like it's very, very good, you know, especially if you could get this at 36 and you could enjoy a full 4 levels of having a sprint as a warlock. I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot, but that seems insane. That seems so good.
No, it's very, very strong.
Okay.
It can slow down your leveling if you don't plan it well, though, and if you don't have the people for it, right? If you're not leveling with a group of people. I knew, like, Gil Nash's group of 5, they did this quest.
Yeah.
Like together, which, you know, like was really beneficial because they kind of like they just tried to fit it in, right? They like, you know, when they went to Alterac Mountains, it's when they had a Hearthstone up in I think it was like in Stormwind, so they like went to Alterac Mountains and they hearthed Stormwind, and then they went to Booty Bay and they did the Booty Bay quest and then like flew across to Ratchet, and then, you know, like flew to Theramore and did the Theramore quest. I actually don't even think they flew. I think they just walked from Ratchet. So like they hammered it out in like 35 minutes, which is.
And there's also the nifty stopwatch quest. We'll get into that in a second, but I just find it interesting that these two really important.
It's worth talking about. At low levels, the amount of damage it's doing to you is pretty ridiculous.
Really?
So like at the higher end, right? You cannot usually like that's why it's not really a use case for people unless you really, really need it. Like a rogue shouldn't have it on because like 3 ticks of it, you're very close to death if you get unlucky, right? If you get the 500 damage tick.
What if you're a warlock? Maybe you can sack the Voidwalker and use it? I don't know how that.
Yes. You can sack the Voidwalker. It'll prevent the damage, but it won't prevent the mana.
Okay. Yeah, but you can. Yeah. It still seems super worth it, though. It seems like
you can like mana shield, and it'll just eat the mana shield, but that's, you know, it's taking up a fuck ton of mana. Or Ice Barrier, right? Like at 40, which is typically when you're getting this anyway. But like sacking the Voidwalker is like a pretty big deal. So like you do lose like in a PvP situation, right? Obviously it's, you know, it's better to sack the shit and run.
Yeah.
But you still are, right? You're losing the entire sack for some distance, which is worth it, but it will eat through an entire sack, which is, you know, like half your life.
Yeah.
So.
But if you can make it work, I do still think it's worth using on cooldown because it's effectively giving you a sprint in a sense. You know what I mean? You use it every 5 minutes just to get a little bit ahead and then bandage up or whatever you got to do. So, yeah, this is really interesting. And then, so do you know offhand if this shares cooldown with the nifty stopwatch? Or is that just another, you just are a freaking athlete at that point? You're just like sprinting everywhere.
They don't stack. They don't stack.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't share.
It doesn't share. So you use this, then right after you use the stopwatch, and you're like Usain Bolt across the zone at level 36.
I think Swifty is actually doing it in his, you know, non-stop BG fun warrior tricks video.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
He's just showcasing when he's taking a flag and sprinting across the battleground in like, you know, 40 seconds.
That's insane, dude. That's insane. I'm gonna main warlock, guys. For those of you who don't know, I'm going warlock. I'm selling out. I'm not going hunter. I'm going warlock. So I'm definitely getting this 100%.
I still can't believe this is a 5-minute cooldown.
Right?
That just
it's insane that it's 5 minutes. That's why when people talk to me, right, like, and they're like, oh my god, North, why don't you want Staff of the Shadowflame, North? Like, why don't you want this sick item? And I'm like, dude, I don't want to fucking unequip my skull. Like, fuck you. Like, skull is literally, I don't care how much spell power you give me. I want my fucking offhand.
Do rogues feel bad about this item that other classes can just get sprint? It's fucking sprint,
No,
dude.
it's really useful for rogues as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's sprint.
I mean, they get 2 sprints because they have this item. So I mean, they don't really care, right?
Yeah. Okay.
They don't have to take damage from their sprint.
So last point on this. How do you time it to prevent a poly or whatever that you were talking about? Like, what is the you know, you're seeing them cast it, and is there like a little bit of a delay to it, or how is it working?
Yeah, you're looking for the poly, and they might try to fake cast it, but that's another, you know, battle in itself. But yet you just try to time it the best you can when they're casting that poly more.
Okay.
As soon as you see the poly, you want to pop it, though, ideally, because if you pop it as soon as you see the poly, it's every 2 seconds that it ticks.
Oh,
so
okay.
They are polying you, and you like the second you do it, like it'll take a half second for you to get out of the poly.
So you can just preemptively use this and just go, all right, for the duration of this, I'm not going to get polyed, and just go super aggro.
That's what people like. That's, you know, in my impending rogue versus mage like video, I'm gonna be using one of the key strategies, right, is to ice block at a weird time and then immediately Skull of Impending Doom. So they can't blind you, they can't gouge you, they can't like try and resap you or some shit. And you use a dot on them at the same time. You use Smolder Web's Eye, which is a trinket that puts a poison effect on them. So as long as they're not a dwarf. But that is a really niche item. It's not critical at all. It's like a 1v1 specific. We talk about it.
Really cool item though, man.
And then so what you're doing is essentially you've engaged them in a death match, right? Like you've said you won't leave this arena, I won't leave this arena. I'm taking damage all the time. I'm losing all my mana. I have to kill you in the next 10 seconds essentially, or make the fight like do so much damage to you in the next 10 seconds that you cannot re-engage on me, and I can go over there and bandage. And if you open on me, you die.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's the win condition in a lot of rogue matchups.
Sorry, what were you saying, Taka?
The skull prevents CC.
What?
You were saying something? Sorry.
Yeah, just people talking about if you're fighting a rogue as a mage, and I mean if you're the rogue, which I see Sorana is doing a lot of the time, and but just Sorana couldn't make it today, but he's with us here in
spirit, dude, in ghost form.
Yeah, and when he's expecting a mage to hit blink out of the stun, he's just pre-gouging them, and that's really important as a rogue. Always expect the blink and shit like that, and if you're saving a gouge for that, you'll gouge them, and after they blink, they're still gouged, right?
And you're saying you're able to do that before so they won't even have the global to use, or the millisecond to even use skull, right? If you're one step ahead of them like that, potentially.
Well, I mean, not just, but we were talking about mage versus rogue earlier, and
okay.
Just a tip.
Yeah, a key thing to remember about that though is even though a rogue can do that, that's only if you're slow, or the latency is really really bad, because you typically blink. You blink when they do something. Rogues have a 1 second global cooldown, which is half second long, shorter than everyone else's. If they open and you immediately blink, if you blink within that 1 second window, they can't gouge you. There's something that they can do to gouge you. Also, keeping your back to the rogue is something that like a lot of mages I don't see them doing. Even though it's like, oh, I can't dodge his attack. What fucking dodge do you have anyway? You ain't got shit for dodge, right? Like you're exposing yourself to backstab, yeah, but gouge is way worse than backstab.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have gouge up and you can see that they're looking for a gouge, fucking A, keep your back to them. B, keep your fucking keep blink is such like blink should be something that your fingers are always resting on, right? For me, it's S. Like I constantly keep my hands on.
But isn't there some delay
A,
though
D,
when
and
they
S.
use it? You're making it seem like so you use the blink and while their global is ticking off, but by the time you see the animation actually go, that's happened after they use, like, kind of significantly after when they click the ability, right? So it seems like it would be hit or miss, like, so if you're...
No, I mean, that's the thing. You have to, like, it's a trigger finger thing. If your latency is really, really bad, that's one question. But even with a latency of 100 milliseconds, if I'm in a rogue duel, I never get gouged.
Okay.
Because, like, if you're sitting there, if you're actually, like, you're just ready to spam it, like, you know that they're going to open on you, that's why you really want to have this mindset again. If the rogue's going to open on you, if you're sitting around, you're like, if a rogue opens on me here and I don't immediately blink, I'm dead.
Okay.
Right, so you're looking around, your hands on that blink. You never keep your hands off the keyboard if that's happening, because you have to.
Is that a pro tip on a mage? Just always keep your finger near blink, like always be ready to blink. Blink.
Always be
Okay.
ready to blink.
Oh yeah.
Like have it like mine is S because it's just so like if I panic, I immediately just slap it.
Okay, you just slap blink. So you're always just, for the you mage players out there, trigger finger blink, dude. Just keep your trigger finger on the blink. Get ready, dude.
And batching does make it a lot more common, right? And batching even makes it sort of possible, right? Because it's not like one goes off and the other can't go off, right? Like they go off at the same time, and so it allows the batch to go off. But you can avoid it 100% of the time unless your latency is like 300 ms.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next item here. So next up, we got the Goblin Rocket Helm, dude. This is a cool engineering item. Requires engineering 235. You craft this bad boy. It looks like, what is that? Is that thorium bars there? Anyway, this is pretty important. Oh, it's mithril, right? BOE. What do you guys think about this? What's the use case for this? So the use is, sorry, before we do that, charge an enemy, knocking it silly for 30 seconds. Also knocks you down, stunning you for a short period of time. Any damage caused will revive the target. So this, to like the untrained eye, is pretty ambiguous on what it does. Like, what the fuck am I reading right now? Like, how does this actually going to work? So maybe you could just kind of explain, what this is and why it's super good.
What this is
the only thing is that you need to be Goblin engineering to craft it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Continue, Jeffrey. Sorry.
This is going to be the same for most classes in the regard that it's going to be used to reset the fight in some way, shape, or form. You're going to try to force your opponent's going to have something like, for a mage, an ice block to get out of it, and if they've already used it, there's a good chance you're going to be able to either bandage, stealth if you're a rogue, create space if you're a hunter, things of that nature. It's basically used to reset the fight.
Also, Skull's one of Skull's best use cases, right? We didn't discuss it. We said, oh, like counter the sheep, right? This is potentially, not even potentially, better use case for Skull because this is not resetting your health like sheep. And right, you can actually see this coming. So this is one of the easier things to do on private servers, not so much because the animations are kind of scuffed sometimes with charges, just because of how they like code charge. But you can see, especially if you're far away from someone, you can see them like charging towards you. Like it makes a sound. Like that's why I keep game sounds on. I don't know why people don't have game sounds on if they want to play a game. Anyway, you can skull this, right? Because this is it's essentially a sap.
Okay. Now, and it's a
sap.
full 30-second duration too, right? Like there's no diminishing.
No, it's 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
It's 10
okay.
seconds.
So
if we're on the DR patch, the 112 DR patch, this lasts 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay. Now, is this something? It seems pretty solid. There's some 15 stats on there. It is cloth. Is this something that you're wearing in your default state as you navigate through the open world, or is this something that you would, have more of a niche use case for and throw on, or is this something? Is this as you just default? You're riding out in the open world. You could be ganked by anybody. Is this on you?
I personally would,
Yes,
unless it was on cooldown. I'd like to use it before I
Yes.
re-equipped a different helm. It's 15 stam too, so that's pretty good.
Mhm.
This is the first helm I actually enchant. When I started enchanting helms, like when I get a Library of Constitution, I'm not focusing on like my off helm because this is gonna be the thing that I'm wearing. Even if I'm not like wearing it all the time. Like A, the stam is great, but B, I'm gonna be having it on so often, right? It's that first use case, especially on like mage, but even on other classes. The only exception to whether like you having this on all the time is Horde Warriors. Actually, Horde Warriors will not have this on all the time because they have a better version of it, available from Ultimanda.
Really?
I haven't thought of that.
It's the Viking helmet. So they have a Viking helmet. It's called Horde Viking helmet. It does the exact same thing, but it has 10 agility more, and it has much more armor.
And you don't need
So
to
it
be an
has,
engineer to use it?
And you don't need to be an engineer to use it.
What? This
So it
seems
has,
nutter
so it has
butter.
300 armor, but it's only for Horde. It's only for Horde.
Drops,
Dude.
from the 3 Vikings.
But
Is that a separate cooldown?
although that is true, I'm not sure if they share cooldowns, but it does have a longer cooldown. It does have a 30-minute
Doesn't,
cooldown.
I mean, but is it plate?
It's plate.
Oh my, that seems insane, dude. Dude, this is why I love vanilla, dude. I'm just discovering items now. That's so crazy.
But-
Plate, and it
yeah,
doesn't seem
Yeah,
like.
and it's only for Horde specifically because it drops from the 3 Viking bosses in
And someone said everyone can use the Goblin helmet. Yeah, that's true. But since we're talking about like world PvP scenarios, there's a big chance that you'll be one of the first people who's gonna level engineering, right? So there's a slim chance that you'll be able to buy this off the auction house. So you should consider maybe leveling Goblin engineering and craft whatever you want, and then kind of drop and go for gnomish.
I would go the opposite. I I don't think you're gonna have this while leveling. This is a really hard item to actually make, because of the Goblin Construction Helm. Because the
Someone
elements-
is having push to talk.
That's not me. I think that's Jeffrey. That's hot micing.
Oh,
I
it
have
could be
push
me,
to
too.
talk.
I don't have
I
push
don't
to talk. I'm just.
Oh, I think
I'm
you're hot
open
micing
spirit.
then, Kargoz.
What does that mean? I'm breathing. I'm like neck.
No, so it's echoing.
Oh. Huh. I didn't change anything.
All right.
It might just be your attenuation. Lower, higher. I don't know. But yeah, I can hear an echo in myself when I talk.
I hear it as well.
Can the viewers hear that? You guys good? The viewers?
All right. Good.
Is it better? No.
No.
Okay.
Do you have is your headset really loud? Are you have speakers on or?
Let me see. Maybe this will fit that.
It's just feedbacking it.
I just turned the volume way down on my headset. Maybe that'll help it. Talk again.
Do.
Yep. Good.
It still echoes.
Huh. Audio has been fine for any of the viewers. Audio is fine for them. So maybe you guys can.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as they're fine, hopefully you guys can just hang in there with it.
Okay,
With the
no,
echo.
that's fine.
Okay. So anyway, Goblin Rocket Helm, yeah, I feel yeah. So okay, so for Horde it's plate, but that would only if you're a non-plate user though, you're not gonna be able to use that. So
Oh
you're
yeah,
still
it
gonna
is
have to go.
fine on the thing. Sorry, I had to quickly mute.
Okay. So if you're not
What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Horde equivalent for Goblin Rocket Helm, but it's plate though, right? So I'm assuming if you're not a plate wearer, then you still have to make Goblin Rocket Helm, right? And also, so Taka, as a warrior, you're always do you always have that Viking helm on? Is that like your default helm that you ride around in the open world with?
I mean, I would say that as long as you're moving from point A to B and you're not, doing something, then you should put on whatever that can save your life, right? If it's a Skull of Impending Doom, or if it's the Goblin Rocket Helm, if you have some kind of trinket, always have something equipped that can make your day, and give you the prey. I don't know. Yeah.
And it seems with the warrior, it's pretty important as a warrior to get the initiation on someone, right? Get that charge off. So are these items pretty important for you?
Yeah, I mean, I used to play Night Elf Warrior, right? Which gave me an edge because I could just fucking run around the tree if I saw someone and then shadow meld and get the charge off. But now, playing Horde, it's going to be interesting to kind of invent new ways to, get the edge and kind of get the initiative, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. So let's move on to the next item. Thanks for that. Very interesting stuff, guys. Very, very interesting stuff. So the next one we got up is Nifty Stopwatch. This seems like a lot of people know about this. I just wanted to quickly put it on there. I don't know how important. I don't see. Do you see a lot of top PvPers and using this? Is this what they run with? I don't really see it too much. Yeah. So
You don't see it too much because it has a 30-minute cooldown.
Oh right. Okay. Okay. You don't see. That's why.
That's the reason you're not seeing it often. It's sort of like a backup ability because you're not something it's not something you'll have for every flag cap. So it's the use case is less often.
So if you were riding through Stranglethorn Vale on your mount by yourself, what 2 trinkets do you default have in your slots with the 30 seconds up on? I'm curious.
Depends on what I have. Net insignia or like net or insignia like cloaking device.
Insignia cloaking device. Okay. Okay.
It depends on what I'm doing as well. Like if I'm trying to actually kill people, net. If I'm trying to just escape, cloak.
Okay. All right. So this is increases your run speed by 40%. For 10 seconds. There is no drawback taking the damage, but again, it kind of just feels like it's worse than Skull. But again, it's in the trinket slot, right? So that does offer some other flexibility. It's a quest from the Badlands. You can pick it up at level 36, I guess. Definitely worth doing. Definitely worth doing. So we'll move on to the next one. Next one, I think you brought it up north a couple panels ago. Glimmering Mithril Insignia. Now, I didn't really fully grasp how good this seems until I looked it up.
This is such a bitch to get, though. Like, disclaimer, this is such a bitch to get.
The main thing to this is it says, okay, so it is a trinket, right? Or it's not even a trinket. It's
a trinket.
It is a trinket, okay.
Doesn't say trinket.
Okay, it doesn't say trinket, but it increases armor by 50, which is negligible. All resistances by 10, which seems pretty negligible as well. But grants immunity.
10 resistance, actually, you'd be surprised. The 10 resistance is good.
Really? Okay. Well, the main thing is it grants immunity to fear, and I thought maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It says 30 seconds. Is it really 30 seconds?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Wow.
And it's only a 10-minute cooldown. That's not even that bad.
It's insane.
Isn't that the whole fight, dude? Like if you're ganking a warlock or something?
That's the whole fight, right? Like that's a thing that I really like to do against priests as well, because you have such a window to do this, is you pop it at the beginning of the fight, right? They don't know what the animation looks like because people aren't used to seeing it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of bait them in because they got to sacrifice some shit to actually get in range. So you bait them to get in range, and right as they get in range, you start throwing the hardcore pushback spell. You start channeling arcane missiles, and they're like, haha, he's channeling arcane missiles, time to fear, and then they're immune,
Yeah. I mean, okay, so people always make the case, people saying that people saying, Will of the Forsaken is so good versus, Alliance Warlocks are weak because they have to deal with Will of the Forsaken on Horde, and that, Undead Rogues are going to be just the biggest anti-dream for a Warlock and stuff, but it seems like almost any class could get 30-second fear immunity.
I think the least used profession is blacksmithing.
I was just thinking that.
I think the least, I would stake some money on that. I would shave my head if that weren't true.
So you need to have blacksmithing though. You can't drop it, right?
Yeah, you can't drop it, right? So that's the requires blacksmithing 225. It's also it requires 300 mithril or some shit.
Dude,
because you have to complete the mithril.
I'm rolling warlock, dude. This is the most feels bad man trinket I've ever seen in my life.
Well, yeah, but 10 people will have it. I'm the only person that I've seen on my entire server ever use it for some culture.
This seems insane.
If you look at this is the reward from after you complete the armor smithing quest.
So it's not armor smithing. It's It's the Mithril order quest chain.
Oh yeah.
Which you
yeah.
do alongside.
That's-
Like you need to do the Mithril order while you do armor smithing, but you can do
Yeah,
Mithril order without.
Do you have this
So
on your
it's like-
mage, North?
Yes, I do.
You have
I know
blacksmithing on your mage?
Yeah, I have Lionheart helm as well.
Oh, well,
I was just gonna. I wanted to ask. You did go blacksmithing then?
Yeah.
You committed to that.
Yeah,
Are
it
you
took
gonna
me-
stick?
Like, I had 2 bank halts with ore on them. 2 bank halts with all these main bars. There's a beautiful like full traveler's bag full of ore. And after the blacksmithing, I have nothing.
jeez.
Now, are you gonna do blacksmithing engineering?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go in
That
classic.
sounds so
AK can eat my
counterintuitive as
nuts.
a mage, dude. It's so funny, dude.
No,
Yeah, I'm going mage, dude, blacksmithing
not
engineering.
Not at all. No.
To the untrained eye, North. To someone going into
I-
WoW for the lore, like for the RP, like, yeah, I'm gonna go mage, I'm gonna go tailoring, I'm gonna go enchanting, I'm a little
No.
mage, I got a little arcane
The
magic, blah,
best,
blah, blah,
the
blah. Like,
best blacksmiths are the people. Like I'm making magical fucking items. Like right, like a warrior's not qualified to do that.
I don't think a gnome could
You
even
don't-
pick up the blacksmith hammer, dude.
I pick it up with magic, bitch. Like, come on.
Okay. Alright.
The arcane arts are moving my hammers.
Okay.
So, are you gonna do the Thorium Brotherhood rep too, North, for all the recipes?
My guild already has most of that. Actually, I should because I'm an armor smith as well. Yeah, I should.
Dude, that seems insane.
Just for like I'm making a warrior, so I want the patterns for him. I have.
I wish we had a super qualified warlock in here to like give the other side of the story, but I'm wondering how this works in like duels.
I'm a
like-
qualified. Well, you keep.
No, you're a
keep-
mage,
you
dude.
keep
You're a mage. You
dissing
can't be
me
both,
like
bro.
this,
You
man.
can't be both, dude. You're one,
You
dude.
keep dissing me. I'm not a
So-
super qualified warlock, but I'm
Yeah.
a qualified warlock.
We need to get Goth in here, dude. Where's Goth at? I'll hit him up. I'll ping him for the next one. I mean,
We should get goth.
SL Warlocks are like pound for pound IMO in my little P brain. I think that they're the pound for pound dual champs, dude. They're the dueling
They are.
champs. Does this change the game for that though, or what? I mean,
No.
Okay, no,
You'd like it to. You'd like it to, but it doesn't.
it doesn't. Okay, that makes me feel better. Thank you. All right, but next
If
item.
if the warlock knows what they're doing, though, that's the thing, right? Like if essentially what they do is they just it definitely makes it easier to actually go against them. And I don't know like a lot of the matchups, so maybe like a closer matchup would actually would be affected by this, but mage isn't really affected by this unless you can also like reflect. If you can reflect the death coil and get this off in that 30-second window, like you're
you
good.
just pop it
but
at the
an
beginning
SL
of the fight. It's 30 seconds.
An SL Warlock should be able to drag the fight longer than 30 seconds. If they see that you're Fury immune, they can drag it out longer.
So how what is the counterplay? Do you get a little a buff over you that says glimmering mithril insignia? To like what is is there? Or you just have
I
to
forget
look?
what it looks. Here, let me log in.
All right,
and
so
see
there is
what it
something though. There is something. That's all I'm getting at. There's something.
I
you can
don't
look
I
for.
don't know. I don't know. I think it just makes like a shout animation maybe.
That sounds awful, dude. You just have to look for the little battle shout.
Yeah, like
Wow.
it's really minimal.
Hmm.
Imagine not being undead mage and having that dog shit.
That's insane, dude. That is so
People-
crazy, bro. I hope this item.
People meme up undead mage, and undead mage will be a lot stronger in classic compared to private servers because of the magic dust. Like magic dust alone will make it much stronger because you won't have a means of countering that, right? Like as anything other like with anything else other than ice block.
Mhm.
But what if we'll do that? But like in the current state, right? Like using trinket for mage, which is insignia, that's far better than using what if in most situations that are like actually time sensitive because what if triggers a global cooldown,
Okay.
whereas trinket does not.
All right, let's move to the next item. That sounds dope. I hope everyone forgets that last 5 minutes happened and that I can be a warlock in peace without anyone using that. All right, title charm. This one is always talked about. This is a bit of an iconic trinket. You know, people are always talking about title charm. It's hard to get this. You have to kill a mob named Prince Nazjack in Arathi Highlands. Very camped on sought after trinket. It's insane. Maybe you can add a little more color. Someone hop in here.
And I'd like to notice not even 100%. What is it, 43 or so? That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Taken me 5 kills on both my characters that have it, which is super gross. But it's not even like when you think about that, that's not even that bad considering the servers that I've gotten on have the dynamic for that. So he's the spawns he's been on have been like 14 to 24 hours typically, which is not Blizz like.
It's
Blizz
24 hours to spawn him.
No, Blizzlike is 48 to 72.
What?
Holy shit.
Oh my god,
And so it's
dude.
so the window, right? Like you 48 and 72, right? Like I'm shit at math. What's 72 minus 48? It's the window is 24 hours long.
Yeah.
The window is an entire day, right? Is a 24-hour period.
So
So
if
you
you-
have to be there in that 24-hour.
So I'm
period
imagining,
you want
imagine
to
if
see
you're
it spawn.
super ahead on fresh, right? You're ahead of the pack. You're a freaking night elf hunter. You're just like you're ahead of everyone. I feel like you're going straight to the spot, right? I mean, you're going straight to get title charm even before Broken Tooth. Is that like the order of operations? Like,
If you want to, it's a priority thing because it's going to be kind of out of the way. And right, like how useful is it really going to be? It's a useful item, but
it's ranged though, right? You can use it at range to stun.
It is ranged. It is ranged. It's very, very useful for hunters, especially early on when you have no
the range?
trinkets.
Do you know how much the yard
30
is?
yards.
30 yards. Damn,
30 yards.
dude, that's so sick. 30-yard range, 3-second stun. It's like a little Hodge. Hmm.
A 15-minute
the thing
cooldown? Not too
It's
bad.
not that great on Alliance compared to Horde, just because of the volume of orcs. Right, you're constantly running a 25% resist chance
Yeah.
on
But I mean,
what is going to be like your primary trinket. So, and if you're relying on that in lots of situations, it's going to be a lot worse than something like Net or Insignia. If
don't
you
you
get some more.
don't you think it's like the stun is kind of broken on private servers? Don't you think it'll be like less because on private servers, like fucking 99% that an orc is not gonna get stunned when that seems.
Wait, what?
You're saying the stun resist seems higher on private server saga
Yeah,
for
I
orc,
think so.
the orc racial?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe it's broke. It does seem high, but that's just like whenever something gets resisted and it's crucial, it feels like shit. Like I don't use, if I can avoid it, I don't use dense dynamite, or I don't use grenades against orcs. I use dense dynamite because they resist the grenade, they resist the damage. So I use sappers or I use dense dynamite against orcs when I can.
Interesting.
Because as nice as the stun is, a lot of spells, right? If you came into a fight thinking, okay, I have a 25 times higher chance of this resisting, or 26 times higher chance of resisting than any other spell in my repertoire if I'm hit capped, right? You probably wouldn't be using that spell at nearly as often as a 26.
Yo, quick interjection here. So when you're dueling, let's say you're dueling, or it's going to be a long fight, right, out in the open world. Do you immediately get value from your trinkets and swap them to start getting the cooldowns ticking, the cooldown for when you switch ticking again, so you can get value out of the next set?
Depends on what duel, but yeah, if you can reset combat, yeah.
But what do you mean? You have to drop combat to use the new trinket? The new trinket?
To swap trinkets.
Yeah, you just run away, swap, and then so you would. Oh, okay, I got you. So you swap trinkets.
Yeah, and then
you
it's
get
30
drop
seconds.
combat. Okay,
So
okay,
like mage
yeah.
versus rogue, a lot of that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So like having an add-on like trinket menu is really useful because you can set up a queue so that once you use it, it'll try and swap trinkets, and as soon as you get out of combat, it'll swap.
So you
trinkets.
use this off the
That
back
API
of
might
like a
not be
Goblin
available,
Rocket
though.
Helm or something like that, where you're dropping combat and getting a little reset lull in the fight. You swap out the trinket, something like that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a useful way to do it.
Okay.
Also, something, and just like quick tangential thing, something that's a Goblin Rocket Helm other than resetting the fight is very useful for is if like you're bursting a healer class. And I just want to like that. If you get them to like 40% health and then you immediately Rocket Helm, then you can like if you're a warrior, for instance, you do it right after a swing, you Rocket Helm, and then you can like Death Ray or even like it just resets your swing timer. So you like if you have like a 4-second axe time, and you swing once and then you Mortal Strike and then you helmet them.
So
You can
helmet
swing and Mortal
resets your
Strike
swing
after.
timer?
No, but you can wait. You
Oh, you can wait. Okay, I see what you mean. All right, I thought that was
it's not
some
that it
weird
resets
interaction.
it. You can wait. Same thing with mage, right? You can get off like a big pyroblast if you have pyroblast, your elemental. So you can get that off, like if you have the time, which Helm allows.
Interesting, man. Okay, so let's move on to the next item. We got Gnomish Netomatic Projector, another wonky engineering item here. The use is it captures the target in a net for 10 seconds, so I assume this is like an entangling roots type effect, it's a root. The net has a lot of hooks, however, and sometimes gets caught in the user's clothing when fired. Yet another kind of ambiguous trinket description here. So there's a chance to backfire. How does this work, and what's the repercussion of when it fails?
It can net you as well. So it doesn't roll, does it net you, your opponent. Great for melee, probably anybody really.
Okay.
Great for everyone. trade for everyone. I think this is I'd put this in top 1-2 trinkets. Like this is something that if I have it up, I probably have it on.
Was it because you have a way out of the you have a way out of the backfire?
That's part of
why?
it. So that's part of it. It's really good for mages and no mages especially because you have like if you don't even have racial up, you can blink. If you're not a gnome, right? If you're still undead, you can blink. So you want to keep that in your head. I think that's what I was like. Not go into.
Is it like entangling roots where any damage will break it, or like not any? But
No. So it is a full 10-second root that you just have to sit there and eat.
That
so
is
it's
insane.
really, really gross. If you're a warrior and itself roots you. So there are actually 3 situations. So it either nets you, or it nets both you and the opponent, and it charges you to the opponent.
Oh wow, cool.
Because it like the idea, right? Like, it explains that kind of there. Sometimes it gets caught in the user's clothing while fired. It gets caught in your clothing as you use it, and but it still is firing, and so you get dragged.
That's
along
funny.
with
It's actually really flavorful.
I like that.
Does it stun them too? Like, is it like a warrior charge? Is that what it looks?
Nets. So it just roots.
No, but like when that backfires, like when it pulls you towards them, is it just pull you there, or does it look like you're charging them or anything?
It just like kind of like lies
yoinks
towards
you?
It's like
Okay.
a charge animation.
Okay.
But actually, that's I think that like what separates really, good net users, great net users, is being aware of if it's gonna backfire, being aware of what you have up. Making sure you have like net or gnomish.
What?
Gnomish escape artist up.
Oh, okay.
And not using it in a situation, right? Like, it might be really useful to use it while I'm a flag carrier and there's a rogue behind me. But if there's a rogue and like 2 other guys with him, and I use it and it charges me to them, I know I'm gonna die, right? So even if that might get me a slight advantage, if it's not a 1v1, if it's like a flag carrying situation,
Yeah.
and it might charge me into my death, I'm not gonna use it. Or conversely, if I know that the only way that I can kill someone, and it's like a very important situation, is if it charges me to them, I'll use it that way.
Can you dispel the net? Is it magic?
You can freedom the net, but you cannot dispel
You
it.
can't dispel it. Oh, damn, dude. That
you can
seems
lip it.
busted.
I think you can lip the net, actually.
Yeah, you should be able to. Is it 30-yard range?
I think it's physical. Yeah, it's 30 yards.
Okay. That's really
So
cool,
let
man.
me see the animation on this glimmer. Actually, no, it's pretty big. It looks like a divine spirit, I think, from Priest.
Oh, okay.
You
So
put your hands up,
you get
and
some
it's
kind
like
of
a
buff
big
or
light.
something?
Yeah, it's like a big light. You do get a buff, but it's like a big light animation.
Okay.
Now, this is something where North, you would avoid using this on druids just because they can shift out of it pretty easily, right? And mages, for that matter, do you tend to save it for another class?
Sorry, repeat that.
Now, is this something where you won't even bother using it on the druid, or is that a target you're
It's
opt out of?
actually one situation in which I actually actively recall. I remember a druid was sort of like up a hill, and I couldn't kill him, and I knew that I couldn't kill him. And he was up on like the graveyard, because he was like jumping across the horde. And so I was like, well, I don't have Rocket Helm up. I can't charge him here. The only way that I'm gonna actually kill him is if this net charges me. And I use it, and lo and behold, the RNG gods on my side, and I charge him and kill him.
That's sick.
Excellent.
using it-
Excellent.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
mean,
use
so, like,
that on,
that's
so
what
you
you
can
have
use
to
that potentially on to even just as a efficiency play, like on a little mob up a hill or something like that. Just give it a shot to see, like, just an NPC.
If
walking
you have
around,
no
like-
other use for it, right? Typically, you're going to want to save it because that's not going to happen very often. And it's only like there is no other solution here. There is no other situation. I will A, lose, or B, die if it doesn't work here, so I'm going to try.
Or I could save a lot of time if I did this way. I don't know if there's maybe if you just instead of walking all the way around something, you could try it. It's only 10-minute cooldown, so
That's
I
fair,
love
but
the
I
niche
just
use
don't-
there. That's
I don't think
excellent.
there's a lot of situations for that.
that's really
So-
cool, man. Okay. So, so one guy asked in the chat. I just wanted to ask you since you're here. He said, "Can you turn when netted, or is it like roots?"
You could turn when
You
netted.
can turn. Okay. All right, that's your answer, man. All right, so next up we got the what are we on now? The gyro freeze ice reflector. So we were talking about this before the call. There's a shadow one. There's a fire one. Maybe it was like 2 PvP panels ago. You were saying that maybe this is overestimated and that like maybe the uses are a little more limited than people might think. What do you guys think about the reflectors in general? What are some of the use cases and how good are these things? Anyone want to jump in?
I like that there's only a 5-minute cooldown, because I can't pretend to be a expert at some of these PvP trinkets end game. It's actually one of those things that I'm going to be pushing myself further is the swapping of the engineering trinkets and using them more often than I had in the past. And I'm still surprised that these are only 5 minutes.
Yeah, that does seem short.
Yeah. But I would say, it's kind of situational what class you're playing. Because obviously the spell reflector might be more of a powerful tool if you're a melee than if you're a caster, right? Or yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, certainly. I mean, someone mentioned that using this against hunters is pretty good. The ice reflector to resist their freezing trap or the frost trap.
It's probably strongest against hunters because essentially what it does for hunters versus any other class is hunters, right, when they want to peel you off of them, they only have a frost spell as an answer, a single target frost spell. So if they scatter, and you pop this right before they scatter, they can't frost trap you, which means they can't actually make that movement. Whereas like mage, right, you can get you can get it off.
Scatter's instant though.
Scatter is instant, but like it's that preempting game, right? It's the if someone is gonna sleep dust you, for instance, or like sap you or blind you, those are all instant. You have to preempt them with the skull,
So
for
it's a
instance.
guessing
So
game,
here
right?
you do have to preempt them.
I see. Okay.
It is a guessing game, but it's also like a win condition game. Right as you close, you know that like say I close the distance and I use Cone of Cold, and I use Nova, right? Like I've used both my cooldowns, and I'm sort of in a weak spot where I like don't control the hunter that much. But even I've closed on the hunter. The hunter has the scap away. He's gonna use Frost Reflector. If I use Frost Reflector, he's gonna try and scatter. So unless he holds the scatter, he loses his Frost Trap. And even if he doesn't use the scatter incorrectly in a few seconds, I get a lot of free damage.
It seems like a lot of these trinkets, right? You use them to bridge the gap between your powerful class-related specific cooldowns, right? That might be a great use case in between, Nova cooldowns, or in between your burst, your burst cycles. You're able to like weave in these other things to give you a bit of a power spike in that downtime and that lull. And like you said, maybe if you're closing in on the kill and this is his only way out, this is his only way out of the fight, just preemptively using it to close out the fight.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like that and I think that's the strongest use case for Hunter because like Shaman, you don't you're not really going to reflect the frost and shock that off. They have a bunch of shocks that they can do. Most of the time they're going to be more useful than frost shock. Sometimes not. Like so as melee they are strong because a lot of the time it's going to be the frost shock that they want to kite you.
What about a warrior using it against a mage? Have you ever just like critted yourself in the face and died?
That's the thing. Like that has happened, but if you're really, and this is something that I like really need to improve on because I've been relying on. I have an add-on called Rank 14 Losa, which announces if a frost reflector is used.
Huh.
Like very like in my ear it says frost reflector, and so like I'll immediately like hit spell cancel. I'm like no. Lately it hasn't been working though, and so I haven't been paying attention. But really like that's what makes really good mages great. Right, is knowing that hey, I'm hard casting into this warrior in a shatter. I have to have my hand on the spell cancel button.
I'm sure Taka's critted some mages in the face with this bad boy.
Also, the thing is you have to use it before they cast it, or before it like the cast finishes. You can't do it midair.
But I think that for me, it's like more of a use when I'm in BGs and I'm kind of charging in and make sure that people kill me when we're having these big battles. But I mean most mages that I face they actually don't use single target abilities at all, Chrono Cold, Frost Nova, Arcane Explosion, right? And that's pretty much
so
it.
Would you wear this in a BG as your default trinket, Taka, or what?
Yeah.
No.
I mean definitely because I need to be able because in a 1 versus 1 scenario, if they're like North is saying, if they're paying attention, they'll see when I pop that trinket. You see the animation, but in a big field of battle, there's always going to be this this guy that doesn't see or don't give a shit. They just want to kill me, and you reflect all damage, right? From if there's 10 mages, you're gonna reflect 10 frostbolts, which is insane. And I find it more useful in those scenarios.
That's interesting. So it does it's you put up a good point. So if there are multiple mages, you can reflect multiple spells from it. That's so cool. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Especially one of the principal advantages of the fire reflector is that the most prolific time you will have fire spells targeted at you. I'm not sure if it's correctly, or if this is wrong on private servers, but it's when you go in like 40 versus 40 or 80 versus 80 in like large world PvP, and they have Goblin Sapper charges. And so I'm not sure if this is how it's supposed to work, but on the private server that I currently play on, if you use Goblin Sapper charges, they will be reflected by a fire reflector. So like if 80 people sapper on top of you, those 80 sappers will be reflected back.
Wow. So you reflect like freaking multiple sapper charges back and do massive damage.
Yeah. So if five people, right, run into a group of 80 people and they all pop fire reflectors, and that's the only thing that they do. Those 80 people all use sappers. Essentially, those 5 people are doing what? 8 times 4 is 32, so they're using 320 sapper charges.
Yeah.
Effectively.
That's insane. Wow. That's crazy, man. Okay, so there's frost. What about shadow? So there's fire. We talked about frost. Is there a big use case that comes to mind for the shadow?
The fears, you know.
Okay.
Mostly fear, death coil.
Now it'll fear the warlock, right? If you use it, it'll actually fear them.
It'll fear the warlock. It'll death coil the warlock.
Okay.
It'll work on priest fear because it's AOE.
Shadow priest. Yeah, good point, Taka. Shadow priest, right?
Yeah, you could dop the shadow priest, but the shadow priest can dispel their own dots, so it's not really that effective.
Okay.
Here's a question: can we use now if we have both equipped two of the reflectors? We can use both at the same time. Let's say we're fighting 2 mages. We want to try to backfire as many spells as possible. We can use both those trinkets, can't we?
You'd be sacrificing your insignia though, right? But yeah, I guess you could.
Hypothetically, yeah.
One of the best combos for world PvP actually, because of the strength of fire spells and like targeted fears and targeted like death coils, is actually having Shadow Reflector and Fire Reflector up at the same time, using both of them as you run into like a 40v40. I think Glimmering Mithril is better for that because most of the time it's going to be the fear and you can ice block the coil, but it reflects the coil. So it's really good for that. But I think it's just stronger because you're preventing like warrior fears from hitting you and stuff, because warriors are probably going to try and fear you when you're running in. So I think Glimmering Mithril plus fire is better for world PvP. Some people might disagree.
It seems hard to play around too with a lot of people because you can't just click everyone's character portrait and see all the different things they have up and stuff. So it's almost.
And you can't, like in vanilla, you can't see what buffs they have unless you have a mage casting Detect Magic.
Oh wow.
So that's beyond things. So you don't know what they have on. So like in a 40v40, you have to look for the animation, which is good luck.
Wow. Yeah. Good luck with that. All right, that's cool, and you get some frost resistance. As a mage, I'm sure you've had this is a pain in the ass for you. Maybe sometimes, people having a little extra frost resistance.
The little
you can feel that or not.
Doesn't make a lot of difference. Like they have to hit like 80-ish on like a binary spell for it to impact that much. I don't know if that's a private server thing as well. Like those values could be like very, very wrong. It's also worth noting that if those people who are sappering, like those 80 people versus the 5 people, if they are sappering and they pop a fire reflector before they sapper, which is good. They won't take the reflected damage. No one will take it. It'll fizzle out. Again, this is at private server. It'll ricochet twice. It'll reflect back onto them, and that reflect will just poof.
Okay.
So,
interesting. All right.
That's a question.
With the frostbolt, looks really weird. It like bounces twice, and then it just flies like a guy.
What's that, Jeff?
But I don't think that's correct.
Sorry?
North, do you have any niche uses of Detect Magic you want to share with us at all?
You should use Detect Magic for like to spell protection. So I mean, like every time you sheep, unless you really, really need that global, you should be Detect Magicking, because like especially blocks, right? They have one spell. So something that actually I really like doing is if you Nova a Warlock, if you have the time, if you Nova Warlock or like Cone of Cold a Warlock, and then sheep them, and then dispel and then Detect Magic, they have 3 buffs on them. Maybe 4 if you have Winter's Chill.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of shit running, and they most likely, right? It's a 30% chance, 33% chance for them to dispel.
It's gonna take a couple globals to get it off. Wow, interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking meta right there. Okay.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. So I mean, but globals are precious, though. I mean, so you would only throw it up in those kind of. I don't think you're just going around the raid targeting people throwing up Dispel Magic.
You do
right?
it very frequently, though. If you're gonna sheep, you're most likely, because it also has a very long range. It has like a 40-yard range.
Huh.
And it costs very little mana.
Oh, so you would start with Dispel Magic because sheep is close, is a smaller range?
So you just sheep, and then after you sheep, you Detect Magic.
But sheep is 30-yard range cast, so why wouldn't you just start with Dispel Magic? And
so
then...
I mean, like if they're running away, for instance, as you're like sheeping, because people typically try and run away, outrange the sheep. you'll almost always have, if a sheep goes off, actually, you will have enough range, because the leash range, I believe, is it's either 33 or 36 yards that you can use the sheep after you cast it in 30 yards.
But is there situations where you're dispel magicking first? Because you got a full solid 10 yards, which was probably definitely a global.
Yeah, I mean,
you
can do that, but most of the time you want to save the global, because you don't even know if you're going to get the sheep off, so you might just be wasting global to get nothing, right? Like, depending on what they're doing.
Okay.
So if you get off the
you're
sheep...
not doing anything else with your time, though. What else is 40-yard range? You know what I mean? So...
it depends on who's there, though, right? You know, you might need to blink away from a rogue opening on you, right? Like, you're locking yourself into a global so that you can have dispel protection if you get the next spell off, right? Whereas you're probably going to want to be within 30 yards anyway. So I mean, it is good if you like go from range, but like let me check the mana use on it actually.
Interesting. All right, well let's move on to the next item. We got a little taste of these reflector.
Yeah, it's
devices.
35.
35 what?
35 minutes, super cheap.
Oh yeah, very very cheap. Okay.
Oh,
next...
Also, yeah, someone said in chat you can reflect sleeping dust with shadow reflector, which is really strong.
Oh huh, sleeping dust is shadow. That sounds so counterintuitive. You think it's like some nature damage or nature ability?
The cast is nature, but the spell is shadow. That's weird.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder if that's correct though. That could be a private server thing or something like that. Anyway.
Could be.
All right, so gnomish cloaking device, man. Here we go. This one seems pretty cool. It's like that little Harry Potter cloak. Gives invisibility for 10 seconds. It can be used every 60 minutes. So long ass cooldown. But I mean, is this what tier of invisibility is this? Is this like?
It's just brings you instantly out of combat as well, right? When you use
It doesn't bring you instantly out of combat.
Oh.
But if you keep it on you, it will bring you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It will bring you out of combat, but not
Yeah,
not in a raid fight, not against a mob. A mob will see through this.
Okay, but in PvP?
yeah.
Oh, okay, in PvP, okay.
It is the best form of invisibility, though.
So it is. It's that really. So they can't get you out by like walking next to you, right?
Well, I mean, they like if they have a spell casting already, if they have a pet on you, it won't work. Like it works like most invisibilities in that way. You can't just like invis with a pet on you and shit.
But it's not like stealth, right? Stealth is different, right? That's what I'm. Stealth, you're walking by them in proximity and you can see them like walking around, right? This one you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
do
if
that?
you have detect invis, you can. But yeah, it's like you can't. I'm pretty sure you can't just see them if you're nearby. But I could be wrong there. I haven't actually tested that thoroughly. But the reason why this is a better invis than the other invises, not the other stealths, is because you can cast while you're invisible. So once you finish a cast,
Whoa. Okay.
you will be out of it. But you can, for instance, in like the Verti videos made this very popular. You can invis cloak and then pyroblast people, or invis cloak and sheep.
What?
Or invis cloak, and even if you're out of combat, you can invis cloak. Something I do in Ungoro a lot. If I'm being camped in Ungoro, pause the stream quick, like die, put on a cloaking device, and then res somewhere, blink, cloaking device, and teleport to.
So you can use this offensively. You can literally go invis. You see someone that you want to gank, right? And you just go invis right next to them and start casting up a pyroblast, and the first thing they see is a freaking palm pyro hitting them, and they're dead.
Yeah, no, it's really strong for pyro. It is an hour long cooldown though.
Yeah,
it's
an hour long.
It's really strong.
Okay. Man, that's really really cool. So you can
I
eat.
love invisibility offensively.
Yeah, it's best used offensively, but it has a really strong defensive potential.
So you can bandage
Because
and
again-
stuff too. You can bandage.
I don't think you can bandage it up. Let me actually test that. I'll quickly test that. But you can mount up, and it won't unmount you. I don't think until you finish the mount cast. So like it has a lot of good defensively and offensively. Like in a situation in which you don't want to get counterspelled, for instance, and you like need to get a sheep off, say you're against like a shaman and a mage, and you know that you'll get earth shocked or counterspelled in the middle of the cast. Right, you have to if you have cloaking device there, you cloaking device, and then you sheep.
Do you run into a situation, by the way, where you're rocking so many of these wonky trinkets, and yes, you have a lot of control over the tempo of the fight, and yes, you have a lot of finesse and ways to reset and stuff, but do you reach a certain level where you just get weak because you're just not, you don't have stats to support what
stats, right? Like what stat trinket are you gonna use?
No, not like, I guess, trinkets. I mean, there's trinkets with damage, damage that will add damage, right? Just adding damage to you, right?
But it's gonna be
with the helm, you're losing stats, right? If you're using goblin, if you're using the,
you are losing stats. With
the offhand, you're using stats potentially. There's probably potentially better off. I'm just wondering, do you reach a level where, you're potentially using too many of these crazy things? Or is it not kind of
potentially with the boots? That's sort of where I kind of draw the line. Is I don't always have boots on. I will always have helm and skull on, but I won't always have boots on, like rocket boots, for instance. I won't always have on. Maybe some people might disagree with that. I don't like to keep them on all the time.
Okay.
Because you do lose a lot of, like, you are losing a lot of stats from having those, those various items. Spell damage is not as important, and like the 2% crit that you would get right from Eye of the Beast, right, which is like the crit trinket. You aren't losing that much. And later on, like when you get the damage trinkets are really worth having on. I haven't played as much with them, so like I come from a perspective of, oh, control, because I'm never getting fucking damage trinket. Like I haven't had a damage trinket. Like I had the first toe off in my guild in K2, and I haven't had one since.
Damn, dude.
So I'm like less used to, and I've lost 2 rolls for my cooking gem on Northdale. So yeah, I'm not like.
Is there a line of play? This seems super cheesy. Maybe Taco might have an answer for this. Like, where everybody just uses gnomish cloaking device, and you just jump a team like with cloaking devices engaged. Is that retarded or what? Like,
sounds fun to me.
It sounds super fun, right? The BG starts and then everyone disappears, and you just see like the fucking ghost army approaching you, and you don't know what's going on.
Not as good in BGs because people will pick up on that. But like really good for like world PvP on Garo fights, or even right like just world PvP like world bosses, right? If people are on a hill and when you guys are 10 seconds out, walking wise, like when you're like maybe you're around a corner and you all cloaking device, you can get on top of them and immediately sapper, and they won't know what the fuck hit them. But you can do that with invis potions as well. It's better to do with invis potions because invis potions last for longer, right? This is more of an in combat like 1v1 type thing.
Okay.
Same thing with like mages. You can use the cloaking device as sort of a free invisibility pot in Warsong to like get past the initial like hunter or warlock kind of scouting for you in mid. But an invisibility potion is going to be better for that because it won't take up a trinket slot. You won't have to like swap trinkets later on because you're going to be having like really good trinkets. Sorry, one sec.
What's that?
I've been watching.
What's that, Taka? Sorry.
And it lasts.
Okay.
I've been watching Jeffrey on his stream and stuff, and I see that he's one of the people that actually enjoys like world PvP forever. So I mean, yeah, you're doing some crazy shit, and it's just fun to see that world PvP isn't just when you hit 60; it's like all the way for some people, right?
I heard you're like that too, Taka. Some people were telling me in your stream that you just attack anyone, doesn't matter what their level is, dude. You should just go for the throat. As a hunter, you kind of have that liberty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you playing warrior or hunter right now, Taka?
Well, I'm leveling a hunter at the moment. Yeah.
Oh yeah, glad to hear you love the world PvP as I do. And when as soon as you guys were talking about offensive invisibility potions, I lit up a little bit because that's one of my favorite things to do is sneak up on people with invis potions and just start AoEing them down.
When you use an invis potion, though, can you start casting like the gnomish cloaking device?
No.
Oh, dude, that's so crazy. So there's different tiers to this shit. There's different tiers.
Yeah, that's why I said it's like the strongest.
It's the strongest
because it actually works in casts.
Damn, dude. Okay.
Free cast.
All right. Okay, so that covers gnomish cloaking device. Let's move on to this. Is super juicy stuff, man. Okay, so we're on to consumables now. We'll quickly touch on some of these consumables and rip through them. I don't know if there's too much to unpack here, but you always hear about FAP. They're not talking about jerking off. They're talking about something else. They're talking about free action potion. North's out, dude. I said jerking off, and he just left. He tapped out. Anyway. Maybe Jeffrey or Taka, can you chime in here and explain the strength of that is the free action potion? Oh, let me read it first. Makes you immune to stun and movement impairing effects for the next 30 seconds. Does not remove effects already on the imbiber. Cooldown 2 minutes.
So it's like, can I just explain? When I see a mage as a warrior, right, and I have this on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you'll be like, okay, so I have to play this perfectly and blah blah. But when you have FAPs, it's like this.
Start doing calisthenics.
Let's do it.
So FAPs are your best friend as a warrior. Thanks for the nice good form there with the calisthenics helping us out there. Look good. Form was on point.
Yeah. Definitely it's an insane tool, right?
Yeah. So
And I think something interesting to note on that too is I see some folks, even though it reads it, may not read the whole effect, does not remove effects already on the imbiber. So it's just one of those where you gotta almost like Taka said, you almost preemptively use it in a sense.
you got to, right? Because what if
You
it's
do
already on
preemptively
you,
use it.
and then if you use this while you're in a Nova or something, you're fucked. You're getting 0 value,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
preemptively use it, right? But 30 seconds is a long time. Do you get the full value? Is it full 30?
Yeah.
It's a,
Dude,
it's a
that's
big boy potion.
nutter butter. So how does the potion cooldowns work? Can you just pop all types of potions? Maybe you can just explain for the people out there watching.
2
because-
minutes.
No, so you can
Yeah.
only choose one potion, right? You can't just pop like
Every 2
freaking
minutes.
mana potion,
Yeah.
health potion, whatever. So this is the go-to potion, right? Most of the time.
Depends on what the situation is. Like if you're going against, it all depends. Because sometimes living action, right, in a situation where you can't be, living action is the one that it does the same thing, except it removes you from existing bonds as well. So, but it only lasts for 8 seconds.
Oh.
Or 5 seconds or some shit. So like if you're actually like if you actually need to preemptively use it, right? That's one thing. But you have living action for the non-preemptive uses. Usually you can just like fap, but if someone's gonna like be dispelling you and you want to like use it instead, there are other use cases for living action that
Okay.
are
Interesting.
different from
Interesting.
free action.
I should have put that on
So-
here too. Living action. Okay. Maybe next panel. Maybe next panel I'll put some. I definitely missed a bunch. So maybe next panel or
living
something I'll put
action
some
is
more.
not nearly as useful though, because you do get the preemptive thing and like the theme that I think a lot of people hopefully should be picking up on. If you're not, you're dumb. No, I'm kidding. Is that you really like vanilla PvP at its highest level is about preempting shit, right? It's this mind game of what do I use before this person uses something.
Okay.
So this free action potion is a great example of that, because right, if you use it, I think even if the frostbolt is in the air when you use it, I don't think you immune the slow. I think if the spell has already been cast, it might not get the slow off. I'm not sure. There's something
a
like weird
projectile
there
time,
where
though.
it-
There's projectile. There's no way that will work like that, right? Because then what's the point of a
I'm
projectile?
not sure. I'm not sure. And then that might be a weird private server thing. But sometimes like warriors, like you'll use it as a frostbolt's in the air. I've seen, and that first frostbolt will slow you, which is really bad, especially if it's a max rank frostbolt, because that's like what? How long is that? That's 12 seconds of a slow.
Yeah.
So it's like half the fucking. It's half the
fight.
duration.
Okay. So this is your best friend as a warrior, Taka? This potion right here?
Yeah, I would say that's one of the most important things to carry around.
Is there something you could think of right now that's more important
Grenades.
to
Grenades.
you? Grenades, okay. Which
Yeah.
grenades? I didn't put grenades on here. I should do that next one. Which is your
I
go-to?
mean, grenades that stuns, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so probably cheap version is like iron grenades, some shit like that.
Okay.
Because
If you're expensive big boy, you can go for thorium. If you're
Yeah.
super expensive boy, you can go dark iron.
Damn. What is Dark Iron? Wait, how is it? Is it just a lot more damage?
I think dark iron actually stuns for longer as well.
Holy shit.
Actually, I think dark iron is a bomb though. I don't think it's a grenade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a bomb actually. Never mind.
So as a warrior, grenades and faps, boys. Keep it in mind, man.
Yeah.
Grenades and faps, your go-to bread and butter tools. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So we got. Oh nope, I'm going backwards. Okay. Flash bomb causes all beasts in a 5-yard radius to run away for 10 seconds. Now this may look, you're like, why is this even on the screen right now? But I'm assuming it's druids and hunter pets, right? This is druids and a hunter pet thing. Share some light on this, guys. Is this share a cooldown with the potion? Is it like you can craft it? You get it from a quest? What's going on with the flash bombs? How is this useful?
This will be good versus the hunters. And I was gonna ask actually, is that gonna fear a druid as well? Because I hadn't actually tested
Yeah.
that myself.
Yes, it will.
I haven't-
Will fear
Yes.
druid.
That will fear a druid as well. And you mentioned earlier this was craftable. How do we go about doing that? I always thought that was quest only.
Oh, let me see.
When you
like
do
a
the quest,
turn-in, right?
when you do the quest, you can get it like from that person.
Yeah,
I have it up right
it's
here.
it's like a repeatable quest, right?
No, it's
don't think
engineering.
it's
You craft it
repeatable.
with one blue pearl, one heavy blasting powder, and one silk cloth.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So it's
I
instant
feel
cast.
so
You just.
dumb. I feel so dumb. The reason why it was echoing is because I had a second window open
Oh.
of my stream.
We knew it was you all the time.
It's all
Do
good,
it.
man. It's all good. So this is just like you're a druid's fighting you, and you just instantly use this, and then they're feared for 10 seconds. That seems insane. Are they feared? It says run away. I'm assuming that's fear, right? No.
Yeah, it's a fear.
So druids.
I'm not sure if it's like if it's like a instant hit Removal fear. Oh wait, no, it's still echoing. What the fuck? Weird.
It's all good. You can hear me twice.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what about spamming this on a flag carrier? Everybody's spamming it. I'm assuming there's got to be some DR. There's got to be something with this, right? That has a drop.
I don't know if DR. It's a really useful thing against druids, though. I'm pretty sure like it's got to have DR, but like you use it as a fear against a druid.
So in Worse on Gold, you just spam flash bombs on the druid, and he gets.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a bomb cooldown, so it's you can't spam it, but you should like if you can use it on cooldown, you should. They're just kind of annoying to make.
Yeah, I'm saying like multiple people using it though. Like if you just have multiple people throwing flash bombs at this druid over and over again.
Yeah, you can't. It's got DR, so I mean, everything is DR, so it's not gonna.
Okay.
With very few exceptions, it's gonna DR itself, but like if you use it, like in the flag room, every time the druid comes with a flash bomb, and you're like a hunter, you probably can get him.
Wow.
So it's not. It's really good.
Yeah, and to get versus hunters, man, this seems pretty good too, man. This is
Where do we? Does anyone know where what nagas or what mobs we farm for the blue pearl?
Yeah, I got you right here, dude. I got our handy dandy classic database up. So it's pretty much salt scale hunters.
Also in the clans,
and
it's
also,
like off the coast of.
Yeah. So Murlocs on the west coast of Stranglethorn, the Murlocs, and then also Shadowforge Commander has a 54% chance of dropping it, which is a guy in the Badlands. It's a rare elite, so it's a rare. So basically, Murlocs, west coast of STV, Murlocs.
Yeah, I think that's a bug saying it drops from that.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, auction house it is. All right. So this seems really good, man. Flash bombs. It seems really. I wonder if you could even get this, while leveling potentially. I mean, you could. You'd level 30.
Yeah, it's a quest. It's a quest while leveling. But I mean, it's not like if you're super try hard like and you get like a shit ton of blue pearls, sure. But...
So Badlands has a lot of these utility related items and stuff. We got the nifty stopwatch. We have the skull.
Flash bomb. The quest is from Badlands, but you do it in.
Oh.
You do it in STV.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, I got you. All right. So next up. So that's Flash Bomb. Next up, Swiftness Potion. This is what I was talking about earlier, guys. So this is saving my life as a paladin right now, leveling. You're just a potato. You really don't have any mobility. And having Swiftness pots to either run away or to use it offensively is pretty much essential if you want to do anything in World PvP as a paladin. I mean, there's so many classes that can just run away from you and just you're walking around like an idiot. And there's so many classes you can't run away from without a Swiftness Potion. So... if you're not leveling on fresh, I would recommend buying some of these. I don't know what you guys think, but this shares this cooldown with the potion, so you're not able to use faps and living actions and stuff if you're popping a swiftness, right? And you might have other options to get movement speed, so maybe that's why it's not as good potentially as it might be, end game, late game at 60 when you have access to everything. But,
I mean, there are other potions you can use, right? So it's. When you have the option between a swiftness potion and a free action potion, most situations for classes, unless you're trying to escape, right, you're gonna want probably the free action potion. Use something else like boots, right? Gnomish or goblin engineering boots. So use the engineering boots, and you'll the rocket boots, and you'll be really fast, and you'll be incapable of being slowed.
The advantage of this, though,
or use like a nifty or something.
So the real advantage of this, though, I have to say, is probably the cost. It only costs a swift thistle and a briar thorn to make this.
That's cheap.
That's so cheap. So getting these while leveling, dude, you got to get these. These are so good. I don't know.
Yeah. I would just pick up all the swift thistle I can get, because when people are kind of leveling herbalism and shit, they have a lot of them. But if you're trying to get them, it's like a random drop from the briar thorn, right? So you can't kind of farm them 100%. So just picking them up when you have the chance is a good thing.
Okay. Good tip. Pro tip right there. All right, so moving on to the next one, we got Taka's specialty right here. He brought this up, the Scorpid Surprise. So maybe you can explain what this is, Taka. It says teaches you how to cook. This is the recipe version of it. It's obviously not what you use. You actually use the Scorpion Surprise itself, but heals 294 damage over 21 seconds, assuming you don't bite down on a poison sac. So another very ambiguous use effect. Like, what is going on with this?
There's like a random chance of getting debuff while doing this, which will make you take a ticking debuff for, what was it, North? Was it 21 seconds?
Yeah, 21 seconds for every 3 seconds.
Which kind of makes you, if you're defending a flag
Keep talking,
or a base in Arathi Basin, and you don't want to be sapped or CC'd, you can pretty much sit down and eat this shit and just let it tick, right?
Yeah, and it's like really, really low damage, so it's essentially like a better version of a skull that you don't have to equip. If you can get it off, that's the thing. Like, it depends on the proc rate of the actual item. But you can spam it, right? So you can, like, it's on the cooldown of like eating food, so you can just like spam right click it. I think the best use case probably is before a flag, like for a flag pickup as a mage or a druid. Like, you can sit on top of the roof and just probably more so as a mage, because I think it's a poison. So if you're running abolish, which you should be against rogues, it'll kind of fuck you. But I mean, actually, you don't even need to run abolish if you have this, so never mind, because it'll. But essentially, you just sit on the top of the roof right before you go jump down and grab it, and you just spam Scorpion Surprise until it procs, and then you jump down. And you're like, haha! I've got a skull that does no damage to me. That being said, though, you have to kind of carry a lot of them because they won't always proc.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm back.
Welcome. All right, so we covered the.
We got the Scorpion one? All right.
Yeah.
So my only question to you, sorry I missed that, someone just came to the door, but you can use, is this a food you have to eat out of combat, or is it the type of thing where it's like Dragon Breath chili and you can just use it whenever, you just pop it? Because you can use, I remember you can just like click Dragon Breath chili. I'm doing AoE grinding on my pally right now, and you can just kind of click it while you're in combat.
You cannot use it in combat.
No.
Okay.
It's regular. It restores health. I think the reason Dragon Breath chili you can do that with is because it doesn't restore.
Okay, I got you. Dragon Breath chili is amazing, by the way. All right. Let's see here. So
Underrated.
it is, dude. For AoE grinding as a pally, dude. It's the juice. All right. So now we got a quick. So we've been streaming for a little while now, but let's finish on the topic of twinking, guys. Do you guys participate in the sport, the blood sport that is twinking?
No.
No, North doesn't at all. And also, if you do, what do you think some of the most fun brackets are? You know, I only twinks I made was actually a 19 twink. I did 19, and I'm pretty sure I did the 29 bracket before too. But I think twinking is a lot of fun, man. I played Hunter, and Hunter at 19 was really fun. I don't know. Do you have any experience with this, Jeffrey, at all, or not so much?
This is a new project for me. It has been. I've been having a lot of fun. The reason I started twinking different characters originally was like I was a little intimidated by the fact that we only had 6 to 8 months till Classic Fresh, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to grind a character all the way to 60 and gear them up and to participate in some of that endgame content. So I decided to just twink at various brackets, and not the traditional 29, 19, 49 type of bracket, but I had some fun in a 30 bracket. I know it sounds weird, but I like the idea of just attuned to world PvP with, and it might not be a character that's capped. And I think it's an interesting way to play. A couple of the areas I had a lot of fun with were Hillsbrad, Foothills, Shimmering, and just placing a tune right around that level. And whenever I have the hankering to go do world PvP, I'll just jump on them and do that. It's kind of an interesting new way to play for me, not to necessarily join the BGs, but to just world PvP.
World PvP? Yeah. One thing that's interesting about vanilla is that you can put stuff like Crusader. I think you get some kind of penalty for it, but you can put these crazy enchants on really low-level stuff, right?
You don't get a penalty.
You don't get any penalty?
That was in Burning Crusade. They added that.
So you're level 1 with a white weapon, and you got Crusader on it, and it procs and you get 100 strength. That's what you're telling me right now.
Yeah. And
And
it
you
heals.
get the heal for more than your health.
Fucking heals you.
All right, I'm leaving the stream right now. I'm gonna go do that. That sounds fucking amazing. Can you imagine that? That's so cool. Like, you put it on. I actually heard of that. So you get a white weapon that's not soulbound, right? And then you put Crusader on it, and you just swap it around to all your new alts. You know, for the lulz.
Yeah, you can. You can do the 30 spell power enchant for me. It's kind of overrated, especially at early levels with that.
You do get penalized for the coefficient, though, right? The spell power coefficients. You do get less.
For
sure.
yeah, so for spell power is not nearly as good as the other one.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that seems sick. And you get insane value out of the world buffs, right? At the lower levels, I'm imagining.
Well, it depends on the world buff. The ones that give like for melee, yes, you get like the straight attack power, like rather than you get like % crit, which is good. It's like much better, more spell power, obviously. But like for melee, right, the Onyxia giving like attack power, insane.
What about the one you get in Booty Bay? That one subsists for death and stuff. Doesn't that give you some movement speed or
It gives
something?
you percent stats and movement speed, so it's good. Like that's really strong, but it's percent stats, so it's it's nice that it persists to death. You have to be in Booty Bay or Yajamba Isle, so it's kind of get compared to other ones. Like War Chief's Blessing, I think is actually one of the strongest ones because it gives increased attack speed, and it gives you a flat health boost. So like if you're level like 10 and you get the 300 flat health boost, it's doubling your health pool, if not more. So it's that I think is like one of the strongest world, if not the strongest world buff.
Cool.
For the levels, and then you get an Ogrimmar, which you're always in. So
That's true.
Yeah. So what people are saying in the chat is like that's basically heirlooms back in the day. And the same with this transmog stuff in retail. I mean, come on, dude. I see people transmogging all the time, right? Running around with some fucking bank alts with costumes and hats and pointy hats, and people having a good time, right? We don't need to. Only problem with this was that it took up bank space and whatever. But I mean, shit. People who were into role playing, they found a way,
I have the green wizard hat that I got at level like 35 on my gnome still because I really like the wizard hat. Like I keep a bank slot. I'm constantly in the struggle of where I don't have enough fucking bank slots, and like I look at that thing and I'm like, well, I can't get rid of the wizard hat, so something else is got to.
Can you no longer get that or something? The wizard hat?
No, I just like it.
Oh, okay.
That's-
I think Jeffrey is running around with the pointy hat, right? On your.
Yeah. North, are you talking about the green, just basic pointy wizard hat?
What is this? I gotta look it up.
Yeah, the basic here. I have it on my. Let me go grab it from my bank.
What do I
That's
say?
that's
It's
my
the-
favorite hat. I'm actually looking for one
It's
for my
the
30.
Watcher's cap of the eagle. Yeah,
Yes!
it's the green wizard hat.
What is
It's
it?
sick.
Watcher's cap of the eagle?
That's
It's
what I run
sick.
around with. It's like
Yeah.
epic. So if anyone finds one on Northdale, I need one for my 30 twink badly because there hasn't been one on the market.
Here, I'll go check. I'll go check the auction.
Watcher's
Usually
cap of the eagle.
I have a purple one on my
It
new
dropped,
twink
though.
instead
It's
of a
insane.
green
You're
It
trolling
one.
dropped,
me, right?
it dropped the
I googled it and all I'm
The
getting
actual,
is pictures of
like,
bald eagles. Fuck. That's all I'm getting.
there's a couple. There's one of intellect. There's one of healing, and there's one of the owl. Not bad. You want to pick you up one?
So it needs to be the eagle, or I guess maybe
Well, I mean,
I'll
the in one's fine. Like the in one's fine. Just like gear for stam elsewhere, right? Like.
fuck it. Yeah, I'll grab it. I'll get it whatever it is, friend. Fuck it.
There might be a blue. I forget what the blue one's called though.
That hat's biz. That's for sure.
Hat is best. You heard it here, boys. That hat is best for the swag. Your swag level.
Swag level 10.
Yep. So we've been streaming for about 2 hours. We're going to start wrapping it up in the next 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll just be talking, shooting the shit, talking about whatever. If you guys have anything in particular you want to chime in on with regard to PvP, you can talk about it. Oh, Taka, do you enjoy twinking? Is that something you've done before?
I mean, the only problem with twinking is that you kind of need a heavy purse. If you wanna make a real serious twink, you need some serious greens to support that financially. But I mean, fucking running around as I don't know. The only thing I feel is that certain classes are more fun in different brackets. So it's like. If you're having a druid, once you hit level 30 and get that travel form, you gain so much mobility, and chamois after 20 maybe, or I don't know. You just feel your way through it. But I mean, as a hunter, you're pretty OP with the before level 40 because you can pretty much kite most classes. I feel like warlocks can be a pain in the ass. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy World PvP on low level. Being 39, I'm a hunter right now. Just tamed fucking Broken Tooth and watching mages go down like rocks.
Do you think a twink? This is kind of juicy, guys. This is kind of juicy. Like if you were a twink, like fully twinked out, let's say like 30s, right? Let's say you're a 39 twink, fully twinked out, best in slot. You think you could take out a 60?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Just like some rando 60 out in the open world.
I
Yeah,
fear I would
definitely.
miss too much, but it'd be. I think
As
it could
what
be
level?
done though.
Like, let's say, well, what level do you think? What level do you think a best in slot twink could take out of 60? Just like a fresh 60, like a guy who just hit 60. You know, he's in some blues and pre-raid bis or something like that.
This melee probably 49 on private server hit values, but I'm not sure if those hit values are accurate.
Nah.
49
As a
would almost
hunter?
be more I'd be scared at 39 when I was thinking. I think I'm gonna miss everything. I don't.
But I
I don't
mean,
know though. Maybe. I could be-
Kargoz, what level were we when we faced that warrior with fucking?
We were
you know,
30s.
this gear.
Yeah, we were 30s.
Yeah,
we were like in Alterac Mountain or whatever. Yeah.
And he was like a Fury Warrior, best in slot, something, running after us.
Oh, we were in
got him to
Desolus.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at what, like fucking 10%?
Less. He was at like
someone-
1%, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, you miss, yeah, sure, but certain classes still hit, and
But we were a couple
melee
people,
hits
though.
way more often. So I mean, melee, like at least on private server, I'm not sure if that's accurate. Like how like your sap literally like doesn't have like a difference in hit chance against
I mean,
higher levels. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, that was sick. I mean, as a hunter, I hit enough, you know, and having like dots is really strong because once they hit, they, you know, they tick.
Yeah. Yeah, they got on. Yeah.
That warrior almost got wrecked by 4 level 30s.
That was funny,
That
dude.
was-
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you have enough, especially against like a warrior, like it's not gonna like right like unless if you spread properly.
Cheap shot
You
can't
can-
be dodged. There you go. All right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We had,
But it should miss more often than I think it does on
Yeah.
on private servers, but I could be wrong.
We actually had a 44 paladin kill a 60 rogue, which is why I originally thought maybe a 39 could do it. And then I just feared as a mage I'd probably just miss. So maybe as melee, like y'all were saying, because we saw a reckoning paladin kill a 60 rogue nearly by himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that's possible with a big, nice two-hander, dude. Get that you walk up to him with the fully prepped wreck bomb, do some damage.
Yeah, that was it with King the Decapitator.
Yeah,
Crusader.
decapitator. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like okay, like that you know like a rep pally if he's not going to be missing the wreck because of like the weird misvalues I think on private servers. I think you've got some potential there, but
Yeah.
mostly not. IMO.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap it up now. Please, 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 if you enjoy the channel, if you enjoy the content, please follow these guys on Twitch and on YouTube. North streams like every day, so many hours and stuff. So you probably know him, but if you don't, check him out. All their like channels is in the description of the stream. So check it out. Again, we got OGJeffrey. It's twitch.tv/OG_Jeffrey. North stream. North is twitch.tv/North the Mage. Takanashi's is /the Takanashi. So please follow these guys. Taka recently made his affiliate, and Jeffrey, I'm not sure where you're at with the stream, but Taka said you've been streaming pretty consistently. So, you know, if you like what these guys have to say, please, please, please check them out, follow them. And that's going to be it for this stream, guys. We're going to wrap it up here, and we'll see you next week. I hope you enjoyed. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for your time today, and see you next time. Take care.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No
Yeah,
problem, man.
thank you. Wait, Jeffrey, do you want to what level?